Chapter 1244. What the F asterisk CK? Where's this? However, when Wang Kai led everyone to dash out of the Avicii hell, what entered their eyes was a desolate and uninhabited mountain range. If the Avicii hell is destroyed, we might end up somewhere in the third universe. Anyway, we are still in one of the 10,000 regions in the third universe, the warden said awkwardly. He had wanted to remind Wang Kai, but he had acted too quickly. The warden didn't even have time to react to the hypocrite incident. Oh, it's fine as long as we are still in the third universe. Wang Kai nodded and smiled. The distance between each region is 10,000 years. For example, this is the 10,000th region. If we want to reach the 9,999th region, we will have to travel for 10,000 years. The warden said stiffly. What? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. Black lines appeared on his forehead as he said, So, it's very difficult to deal with those criminals? Not really. You just have to use the Eternity King's law to shorten the distance between the 10,000 regions. Well, I heard that the shortest distance can be shortened to a month, the warden said. Wang Kai was relieved when he heard that. A month's distance. Getting rid of the criminals in one region in a month was not a big deal. Moreover, with the ability of the system, it should be possible to shorten the distance between each region to only one day. Right? Host, you can only use the Eternity King's law when you reach the Eternity King realm. If you want to shorten the distance between each region now, you will need to spend 1,300 bragging points to shorten the distance to 3 months. Host, Wang Kai occupation, mechanic realm, Qian Xiu Shinavine technique, immortal and indestructible overlord level divine skill, strengthen overlord level divine weapon, sky piercer overlord level the power of God, full spirit God's eyes, torch dragon's eyes energy, 8, 7, 10 bragging points. 1, 300 experience, 06000. I only have 1,300 bragging points. Are you doing this on purpose? And it can only be shortened to 3 months? Wang Kai's face darkened as he said speechlessly, Host, this system will calculate based on the number of bragging points you have. For now, this is all I can do. 3 months. For example, if you want to go from the 13th district to the 14th district, he would need 3 months. No matter how strong he was, he would still have to walk for 3 months. What district am I in now? Wang Kai asked with a frown. Host, you are currently in District 14. District 14? Hearing the system prompt, Wang Kai frowned. If that was the case, it would only take 3 months to return to the 13th district. Quickly shorten the distance to 3 months. I want to return to the 13th district and see how Chow Chow and the others are doing. Wang Kai frowned and used his mind to communicate with the system. Congratulations to the host for successfully reducing the distance to 3 months in Universe 3. This time, a total of 1,300 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai class, Mechanic Realm, Qian Shoshin Divine Technique, Undying and Indestructible Overlord Level Divine Technique, Strengthen Overlord Level Divine Weapon, Sky Piercer Overlord Level the Power of God, Full Spirit Divine Eyes, Torch Dragon Eyes Energy, 8, 7, 10 bragging points, 0 experience, 06000. And who are you people? What are you doing in the Great Bear Mountain? Are you looking for trouble? Suddenly, just as Wang Kai was about to leave for the 13th district, a deep voice came from the top of the Bear Mountain. Following that, there were sounds of footsteps. From the sound of it, there were quite a few of them. Palace Master, there are 37,453 of them. The middle-aged man with the big ears stepped forward. After twitching his ears, he heard the number of people on the other side. Regarding this, Wang Kai was quite satisfied. He thought to himself that the prisoners he brought out were more or less useful. You can see how many of them there are with your mind. You can even see their cultivation level. Do you need to show off? Idiot. The dwarf held the hammer in his hand and snorted with disdain. You. Hearing this, the middle-aged man with the big ears was suddenly speechless. He found himself unable to refute. You're wrong. If I use my mind to sense the enemy, I will be discovered if the enemy is very strong. However, If I use my ears to listen, I won't be discovered. I can make comprehensive preparations, Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Yes, yes, that's right. The eyes of the middle-aged man with the big ears immediately lit up. The dwarf could only express his helplessness. Indeed, Wang Kai was right. Palace Master, let me go and welcome them. There are more than 30,000 of them. I can kill them all in an instant with my 10,000 doppelgangers. Among them, the strongest is only at the 7th cultivator of true virtue, and the weakest is only at the 1st cultivator of true virtue. The beautiful prisoner said with a smile. Regarding this, Wang Kai naturally wouldn't refuse. He waved his hand and said indifferently, "All of you go ahead. It's good to practice since you just come out. However, this can only be done once. I still want a good reputation." "Yes, Palace Master." Buzz. In an instant, many prisoners turned over and left. Then miserable screams resounded through the mountains. Those people on the barren mountain didn't even get to see Wang Kai's face before they died on their way down the mountain. A group of gods of true virtue, led by the 7th cultivator of true virtue, was simply a massacre. "Why aren't you guys going?" Wang Kai looked at the prison warden in surprise. Behind him, the archangel and the ox demon jailer were standing quietly. The prison warden waved his hand and said, We've killed enough people in the Avicii hell. We kill people almost every day. Even if they wanted to kill, it would only be interesting if they killed those with high cultivation. For example, those trash led by the 7th cultivator of true virtue would only be interesting if they were criminals who had been holding back for a long time. Where is this place? Do you know where it is? Little Wang asked with her red lips pursed. The 14th district is from the 13th district. We only need to walk for 3 months, Wang Kai said indifferently. What? 3 months? Didn't he just say that it would take 10,000 years? Little Wang frowned, and her pretty face turned ugly. She was able to go from the 8th district to the 13th district so quickly because her father was the domain master of the 8th district. He was in charge of the rules between districts. But now, it would be impossible to return to the 13th district without at least 10,000 years. I've already changed the distance. Due to my battle strength reaching the Aeon King realm, I can only shorten the distance to 3 months for the time being, Wang Kai shrugged and said indifferently. 3 months, that's already impressive enough. The prison warden and the others praised. They naturally knew that Wang Kai's true realm was only that of gods of true virtue. He had reached the Aeon King realm through some secret method. This kind of Aeon King realm did not have the Aeon King law, but he could still shorten the distance to 3 months, which was unimaginable. Chapter 1245. After 3 months, the name of the Divine Palace spread throughout the 14th district. Under Wang Kai's deliberate request and suppression, everyone learned to do good deeds. No matter how disgusted they were, they could only endure their disgust and do good deeds. Even if they were thanked, it would only make them more disgusted. They would not feel happy at all. They just pretended to be indifferent on the surface. It had to be said that the hearts of the prisoners who came out of the 18th floor of the infernal hell had reached a certain level. If it were not for Wang Kai's suppression, they would have already started a massacre. Is this the 13th district? Haha, it's a bit worse than the 3rd district. Yes, it's indeed much worse than the 3rd district. There are too few strong auras. The strongest is the 8th cultivator of true virtue. It's pitifully weak. It can't be compared with the 2nd district. Yes, it can't be compared with the 1st district. After arriving at the 13th district, many prisoners of the 18th floor glanced around and used their divine senses to spy on the 13th district. In the end, they all expressed their disdain. Let's go to the Divine Palace and see how Chow Chow and the others are doing. Wang Kai waved his hand and said lightly, Chow Chow, TSK. Why does this name sound so familiar? Oh, right. I remember an expert from the supernatural world said that Chow Chow is an ambitious and ruthless person, right? He seems to be very famous in his mortal country. Then I'm Dongjua, his father. Ha ha ha. Many prisoners followed behind Wang Kai. When they heard the name Chow Chow, they all laughed. Regarding this, Wang Kai could be said to be speechless. However, this also proved that there were still espers from Earth in the first 3 districts. It was just like the 13th district. It was just that the two had different definitions of Chow Chow. In the 13th district, anyone who could be called Chow Chow must be very powerful. But in the first 3 districts, at most, he was the leader of the mortals. My sister is here. Xiao Wang's eyes flickered as he suddenly shouted. Oh! Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. Soon after, he looked into the distance. When the black-robed king rapidly approached, Wang Kai could not help but shake his head and say, Wang Mimi, can you not casually expose our whereabouts? What? Could it be that you're still afraid of someone coming to kill you? Humph! You really know how to act. Little Wang curled his lips in disdain as he thought to himself, since he already has the strength of an eternity king, what is there to be afraid of? You actually managed to walk out of the Avicii Inferno. Who are they? The king came closer and looked at the people behind Wang Kai in horror. Every one of them gave her the feeling that they were stronger than her father, more than 100 times stronger. Even his younger sister, Little Wang, was more than 100 times stronger than him. What was going on? Sister, I'm already a god of Qianxiu now. Little Wang grinned proudly. Qianxiu. Hiss hiss. As soon as he said that, the king immediately sucked in a cold breath. You did it? Are they all prisoners of the Avicii Inferno? The king looked at Wang Kai. Well, you guessed it right. Since you're here, I'll also raise your cultivation. Wang Kai shrugged and immediately came in front of the king. Aiming at her chest, he stretched out his hand and patted it, then pinched it. You despicable! The king suddenly exclaimed in shame and anger. She covered her chest and took a few steps back. However, when she found that her realm had increased from an 8th cultivator of Qianxiu to a god of Qianxiu, she immediately forgot about her anger and was only shocked and overjoyed. Your sister is more impressive than you. Wang Kai frowned and looked at Little Wang with a surprised tone. Humph, that proves that my genes are not bad. It's just a matter of time. Little Wang snorted proudly. That's true. Wang Kai touched his nose and nodded in agreement. The heavenly overlord wanted to kill Chow Chow, who went to give the order, but he failed and was killed by your divine sense. However, the earth overlord came back and fought with the celestial palace for several months, and the outcome has not been decided yet. The king said briefly, Oh, the heavenly overlord is also an idiot. Wang Kai shrugged. The divine sense he assigned to protect Chow Chow would disappear after killing the enemy once it was used. The heavenly overlord fell, and the earth overlord came back. Presumably, the king was able to resist until now because of the 8th cultivator of Qianxiu. No one rebelled. Wang Kai touched his nose and asked in surprise. Not yet, but the king paused and hesitated. But what? Wang Kai frowned. But my father sent Tan Feng. In order to bring me back to the 8th district, he chose to go to the earth, overlord. He has reached the 9th cultivator of Qianxiu. You should quickly return to the celestial palace. If he comes into contact with the people of the celestial palace, there will be a rebellion, the king said anxiously. Tan Feng, the genius of the 8th district? Wang Kai frowned and looked at Little Wang. Seeing her expression constantly changing, he couldn't help but faintly smile and say, It's just a 9th cultivator of Qianxiu. Yeah, a 9th cultivator of Qianxiu. If you want to kill him, you only need to breathe, right? Oh, Palace Master, let's go to the first 3 districts. This place is too weak. It's better to leave this place to me. Before I use 10,000 clones, just one will be enough. After hearing the words of the prisoners, Wang Kai nodded with satisfaction. A 9th cultivator of Qianxiu is indeed nothing to you, but for the people of the Celestial Palace, he is invincible. If they feel pressure from Tan Feng, they might really choose to turn against him. You should return to the Celestial Palace as soon as possible to stabilize the morale of the troops, the king said. Let's go. I want to see how much of a pretentious prick that Tan Feng is. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled disdainfully. Are you going to kill him? As the crowd walked toward the Celestial Palace, Little Wang gritted her teeth and secretly transmitted her voice. What? You don't want me to kill him? You want me to let him go? Wang Kai faintly smiled and frowned. Can't you accept him as a subordinate? Tan Feng's ability to get things done is very strong, and he's good at scheming, similar to you. It's just that he's not as strong as you, little Wang said with her red lips pursed. Accept him as a subordinate? When Wang Kai heard this, black lines suddenly appeared on his forehead, and his face became ashen. Accept a love rival as a subordinate, so that he could be cuckolded at any time? One must know that little Wang was now the wife of the palace master in everyone's eyes. Moreover, she was also in this position in the Avicii Hell. How could Wang Kai allow such a thing to happen? Accept him? My ass. He's just a ninth cultivator of Qianxiu. Let me beat him until he kneels and begs for mercy, crying for his parents, Wang Kai said with a dark face and a cold voice. Chapter 1246. Why are you like this? Don't you have the ability to help others improve their cultivation? Isn't it enough to help him to become a Qianxiu god? Little Wang pursed her red lips and said unhappily, Why should I help him to improve his cultivation? Who does he think he is? Wang Kai looked at her coldly. Seeing such an indifferent look, little Wang immediately swallowed the words she wanted to say. For some reason, she cared a lot about Wang Kai now, but at the same time, she didn't want Tin Feng to be killed by him. This feeling was very unbearable. Xiaohua, come here. I have a task for you. Wang Kai frowned and said indifferently. When the beautiful prisoner heard this, she immediately rushed over happily and hugged Wang Kai's arm. She kept rubbing her big breasts against his arm. However, Wang Kai was not in the mood to enjoy it at all. That damn B*TCH. Little Wang clenched his teeth in anger. Separate a doppelganger and seduce Tan Feng. Wang Kai said indifferently. Okay, I'll listen to Palace Master. He. In response, the beautiful prisoner agreed without any hesitation. This was what she was best at. It was because she was good at it that she could survive after doing so many bad things. How can you do this? Little Wang couldn't help but cry out. Isn't he awesome? I'll let you see what kind of person he is. I want to see it too. Wang Kai shrugged and said disdainfully, You won't succeed. Tan Feng has never been close to women. Little Wang gritted her teeth and said firmly, Never been close to women? F***CK. This is the first time I've heard of this. Wang Kai curled his lips in disdain and said indifferently, If he really doesn't get close to women, then castrate him so that he will never be close to women. Yes, Palace Master. Buzz. After the beautiful prisoner left, little Wang was so angry that her delicate body was trembling nonstop. She doesn't know what Tin Feng looks like, so she might not. Don't underestimate Qianxiu. You are also a Qianxiu. You can use your divine thoughts and try to explore. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders disdainfully. Then, with a flash of his body, he led the crowd directly to the top of the pentagon of the Divine Palace. Sister, what should we do? He's going to kill Tan Feng. Little Wang clenched her silver teeth and stood there in a daze. Looking in the direction of the Divine Palace, the king shook his head and said, I've told you long ago that Tan Feng isn't a good person. If he's dead, so be it. If you care so much, you will incur the wrath of Wang Kai. But I don't know why. I just don't want him to die. Little Wang lowered her head and pursed her red lips. Her expression was complicated. He definitely won't be able to live, not even in his dreams. The king did not console her. Instead, he directly informed her of the outcome. Indeed, it was simply too difficult for those who were targeted by Wang Kai to survive. Sister, can you go and see Wang Kai with your real face and plead for mercy? Little Wang clenched her silver teeth and said, What? The king's voice suddenly sank when he heard this. He scolded angrily, Bastard, you don't hesitate to let your sister jump into the fire pit for a scumbag. Tan Feng? That's not jumping into the fire pit. Wang Kai is so talented and young. His future must be limitless. Moreover, he's very handsome and has a very good temperament. Even if his temperament is bad and his character is not good, he's very compatible with you, sister. Little Wang pinched the corner of her clothes and said shyly, You know him quite well. You have a very high opinion of him. The king held his breath and looked at little Wang with some surprise. Perhaps little Wang herself did not realize what this feeling was. Aya, in short, sister, you won't lose out, little Wang said with a pout. You can sacrifice yourself to beg him. I won't go. It's just Tanfeng. Who does he think he is? Is he worth me sacrificing myself to save his life? Extremely stupid. The king snorted disdainfully and glanced at little Wang with disappointment. Then, she turned and ran toward the Pentagon where the Celestial Palace was located. I'll sacrifice myself? Xiao Wang stood rooted to the ground. By the time he regained his senses, the king was already nowhere to be seen. Palace Lord. In the Celestial Palace, Cao Cao and the others were overjoyed when they saw Wang Kai appear. Because the king and the Earth Conqueror were equally matched, they had been in a bitter struggle. Now that Wang Kai was back, wouldn't it be easy to kill the Earth Conqueror? Yes, I heard from the king that an idiot called Tanfeng came from the 8th district. He's the god of 9 cultivators. Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. What? The god of 9 cultivators? Cao Cao and the others frowned when they heard this. They were shocked. My king, condensed Tanfeng's appearance. Chuku, take a good look and quickly draw it. Draw as much as you can and let the people of the Celestial Palace spread it throughout the 13th district to spread his evil name. The worse and more disgusting, the better. Do you understand? Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Hee, Palace Lord, don't worry. Chuku grinned sinisterly. He was the best at ruining other people's reputations. Well, I'll help you guys increase your realm first. Wang Kai shrugged. His figure flickered and directly raised the cultivation of Cao Cao, Lu Bu, and the others to the god of 9 cultivators. Because it would consume their own strength to raise it to the god of 9 cultivators, and he didn't have any bragging points to recover. So, he could only help them raise their cultivation to the god of 9 cultivators. It was more than enough in the 13th district. What kind of realm is this? Why do I feel that it's dozens of times stronger than the Earth Conqueror? Cao Cao and the others were shocked. They only felt that the power in their bodies was extremely vigorous, as if they could kill the Earth Conqueror with a slap. It's just the god of 9 cultivators. When we go to the first 3 districts, I'll help you guys to the god of 9 cultivators. For the time being, the god of 9 cultivators in the 13th district is enough to crush everything. Wang Kai waved his hand and said casually, Palace Lord, when are we going to destroy the Earth Conqueror? The warden asked eagerly. They really didn't want to stay in the 13th district any longer. The first 3 districts were the most welcome to them. After all, in that place, there were opponents who were on par with him, former enemies. Wang Kai waved his hand and said indifferently, There's no hurry. Let's deal with Tanfeng first. It won't be too late to rule the 13th district after that. Okay. The warden and the others looked at each other and could only agree for the time being. However, you guys can go and have some fun. Oh, just show the strength of the god of 8 cultivators and take turns to beat up the Earth Conqueror. When Tanfeng makes his move, you guys just have to pretend to run away. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes with a teasing look. Chapter 1247. Hearing the voice transmission, Lil Wang was stunned. His mind went blank as if the sky had collapsed. He never thought that his sister would hide such a thing from him. She didn't tell him because she didn't want him to be sad. Palace Master, we're back. Buzz. At the same time, the warden and the others appeared in the conference room of the Celestial Palace. How was it? Did you enjoy the fight? Wang Kai rubbed his nose and asked with a playful smile. It was quite fun, but we won't be able to fight tomorrow, right? Since we're all done, the Earth Conqueror won't dare to fight with us anymore, right? The dwarf grinned. The warden and the others nodded in unison when they heard that. Everyone took turns to beat up the Earth Conqueror. It would be strange if the Earth Conqueror dared to fight now. Palace Master, it's time for us to leave the 13th district and head to the first 3 districts, right? The warden asked seriously. The rest of the prisoners also looked at Wang Kai with anticipation. Yes, it's time to leave this place. However, Let's talk about it after we've dealt with the Earth, Overlord, and Tan Phone. Thinking about it, he's probably going to attack out of anger and humiliation. The corners of Wang Kai's mouth curled slightly as he said with a playful smile, "Ha ha, I hope he'll take the initiative to attack us. Then we can give him a good beating. These few days, we've been running away whenever we see him. It's so boring." The warden couldn't help but laugh. The rest of the prisoners were also looking forward to it. Chow Chow, Lu Bu, and the others' mouths were twitching as they listened. Perhaps only Wang Kai was capable of playing and scheming against others like this. They could imagine the warden and the others running away whenever they saw Tan Phone. It was obvious that they were facing him in a weak position. But when the real battle started, Tan Phone would definitely be beaten black and blue. Wouldn't this agitate Tan Phone to death and anger him to death? Even the woman he wanted to secretly get was arranged by Wang Kai. This feeling, Chow Chow and the others looked at each other. Not being Wang Kai's enemy was indeed a good thing. Otherwise, they would definitely be killed by him. Chow Chow, Lu Bu, how's your men doing in the 13th district? Wang Kai frowned and looked at them. Don't worry, Palace Lord. They've all acknowledged you as their master. Many of them are grateful and have offered your portrait, Chow Chow said respectfully. You are now a true philanthropist in Area 13. Lu Bu said with disdain. She disguised herself like this to gain a good reputation, but in secret, she did all kinds of bad things. To be honest, Lu Bu felt disdain for such a thing in his heart. In Lu Bu's opinion, the strong should be bad, good should be good, and if not, just fight. Little did he know that Wang Kai was already tired of Lu Bu's thoughts. Not bad, not bad. When we reach the first 3 districts, I will shorten the distance of the 10,000 districts in the 3rd universe to 1 day. After that, you all will scatter and help me do good things. For this, I will give you a strong cultivation to protect yourself. You can do whatever you want. Wang Kai shrugged and nodded with a satisfied expression. Raise cultivation and do whatever you want in the 300,000 districts in the 3rd universe. How strong must you be to do that? Hearing this, Chow Chow and the others were very excited and looked forward to it. I will control the first 3 districts. You all can go to the 4th and later districts. For now, I can only help you to raise your cultivation to Qian Xiu Shun or Wan Xiu Shun. Wang Kai waved his hand and said casually, Qian Xiu Shun, Wan Xiu Shun. It was enough to start from the 4th district to the last 10,000 districts. Chow Chow and the others were very excited, waiting for that moment to come. Host, Wang Kai Profession, Mechanic Realm, Qian Xiu Shin Divine Technique, Undying and Indestructible Overlord Level Divine Technique, Strengthen Overlord Level Divine Weapon, Sky Halberd Overlord Level the Power of God, Full God Divine Eyes, Torch Dragon's Eyes Energy, 8, 7, 10 bragging points, 0 experience, 06000 inch. If I don't go to the first 3 districts, I won't be able to increase my experience. My bragging points will be used up. I should deal with the matters in the 13th district as soon as possible so that I can go to the first 3 districts to increase my strength. Wang Kai furrowed his brows and thought to himself, if King Zhou came now, he would not be afraid. However, what if an even stronger expert like King Yu came looking for him? He would not be able to defeat them. In a situation where there were no bragging points and his strength was inferior to others, the only outcome was to sit and wait for death. Forget it. We won't wait anymore. Let's take the initiative and destroy Tan Phone, the Earth Overlord, and the others. Wang Kai thought for a while and suddenly stood up. Whoosh! Hearing this, the warden and the others were all stunned. The time to leave the 13th district had finally come. The step of dominating the 3rd universe had begun. I'm going to urge everyone to come here. Chow Chow, Lu Bu, and the others all stood up and left. Wang Kai, the warden, and the others appeared in front of the Pentagon. Looking at the gathered members of the Divine Palace from all directions, there were originally hundreds of thousands of them, but now there were millions of them. Most of them came because they were attracted by Wang Kai's reputation and wanted to follow him. There were also those who were grateful to Wang Kai and wanted to repay his kindness. Wang Kai was very satisfied with this. It seemed that he had done a good job with his reputation. Greetings, Palace Master. As everyone knelt down on one knee in unison, the orderly sound and respectful voices made Wang Kai happy and pleased. Even their grateful and admiring gazes made Wang Kai feel very happy. Is this what it feels like to be a hypocrite? Not bad. Dean, how good would it have been if I had treated you like this back in the immortal martial domain? You're lucky to be able to get away with something as simple as death. With his hands behind his back, Wang Kai couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Let's go and get rid of the Earth Overlord's evil forces. Let the 13th district become a pure land. Wang Kai said indifferently. Yes, Palace Master. As everyone answered in unison, the army of millions moved toward the Earth Overlord's palace. At the same time, in the Earth Overlord's palace, Tan Feng, who was thinking about how to get the Great King and Little King back to the 8th district, frowned and looked in the direction of the Divine Palace. He had actually attacked first? Are they trying to fight to the death? Or did they expect that they would die in my hands in 3 days? So they want to attack first? Tan Feng sneered and said indifferently, the weak, whether they attack first or later, only death awaits them. Young Master Tan, what's wrong? The clone of the beautiful criminal swayed her body and walked over slowly. Nothing. The people of the Divine Palace have gathered and are coming here. Tan Feng squinted his eyes and smiled. He stretched out his hand and wanted to hug the beautiful criminal's waist. However, before he could succeed, he was cleverly avoided. Aya, you're so naughty. How about this? If you can kill those people, I'll help you. How about that? The beautiful criminal smiled coquettishly. Chapter 1248. Don't worry. It's too easy for the people of the Divine Palace to kill them. Tan Feng's expression was full of disdain. It could be said that he didn't care about the people of the Divine Palace. Every time he arrived, the people of the Divine Palace would run away at the mere sight of him. Moreover, they would shout that Tan Feng was here and that they should quickly retreat. Tan Feng had seen too many people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. He didn't care about them at all. Oh, I know. That's why I asked you to kill them. Otherwise, how can I be nice to you? Really, you don't understand a girl's thoughts at all. The clone of the beautiful woman pouted and said coquettishly. However, she was sneering in her heart. She was really looking forward to the scene of Tan Feng being beaten up. Good. Ha ha ha. Tan Feng's eyes flashed when he heard that. He stood up and laughed a few times. He waved his hand and said, then you can wash up and wait here. When I win, I'll come back and share a bed with you. Wash up and wait, share a bed with him. The moment he said that, the beautiful woman was disgusted. She almost couldn't hold back and wanted to attack and kill him on the spot. Ha. Okay, I'll wait for you. The beautiful woman laughed dryly in response. At the same time, Wang Kai and the others were already waiting in front of the palace's main hall. The number of millions of people could be said to be very powerful. Even the slightest movement could cause an earth-shattering sound. This caused many people in the palace to tremble in fear. Even if it was the Earth Overlord at this moment, he had to use great effort to sit up from the bed. He, who had yet to recover from his injuries, saw Wang Kai and the others attacking his door. It could be said that he was extremely sullen. The current Earth Conqueror didn't have the ability to fight at all. Conqueror, the people of the Divine Palace have been personally led by the King of Hell. As a subordinate came to report, the Earth Conqueror's eyes darkened. He said indifferently, I know. What is the meaning of young Master Tan Feng's arrival? Conqueror, young Master Tan Feng, is already prepared to go out and fight. He ordered me to come and pick you up to watch the battle outside. Hearing that, the Earth Conqueror's eyes flashed. He smiled coldly and said, good. With young Master Tan Feng here, the King of Hell and the others will definitely die. Let's go. After the local overlord was helped out, Tan Feng also brought his men and arrived outside the palace. Looking at the black mass of people from the Divine Palace, Tan Feng's expression was extremely disdainful. Which one is Wang Kai? Come out. After I kill you, this mob will change sides and follow me. Tan Feng said indifferently. Why would the palace master need to come out to beat you? Let me. Wong. The dwarf brandished his hammer and took a big step forward. Damn it. It's this bastard Shorty who beat me up like this. The Earth Overlord, who had just come out, immediately flew into a rage when he saw the dwarf appear. Just watch from the side. Tanfeng glanced at him indifferently as disdain flashed in his eyes. He then walked to the dwarf and said indifferently, "Make your move. I'll let you make 3 moves." What? Giving me 3 moves? Are you sure? It's not too late to regret it now. Little idiot. The dwarf was stunned when he heard the words and could not help but grin. Bastard. If you still don't make your move, I'll first. Go F***CK yourself. Bang. Rumble. In an instant, before Tanfeng could finish speaking, his body was smashed by the dwarf's hammer, and he spat out blood and was sent flying. The impact caused the great hall of the royal palace to collapse with a loud bang. Seeing this scene, the local overlord was stunned. All the experts who came with Tanfeng were also shocked on the spot. Their brains seemed to have stopped working, and it was blank. They never thought that Tanfeng would be knocked down by a dwarf with a hammer. Shouldn't he have run away when he saw Tanfeng before? Why was he so strong now? Not only did he not run away, but he even dared to counterattack, and his counterattack was successful. Ha 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 ha. After a brief moment of shock, the members of the Divine Palace all burst into laughter. Their laughter spread throughout the entire 13th district. The local overlord's face turned red when he heard this, and he was extremely angry. Cough, cough, your god, Jiu. Tanfeng spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, raised his hand to wipe off the bloodstains, and stepped back in the air with a gloomy face. Indeed, the cultivation base that the dwarf used just now happened to be god Jiu. That's right, what do you think? Are you not convinced? You even let me have 3 moves. If it weren't for the fact that the palace master didn't want you to die so quickly, I would have already killed you just now. The dwarf snorted disdainfully. Bastard. Tanfeng burst into rage when he heard this, and he immediately withdrew a spear with a flip of his hand before roaring with a grim voice. Since it's like this, then let's fight. Yo, it's a purple gold grade weapon? Not bad. Why? Are you not going to let me have 3 moves now? I've only used 1 move, and there are still 2 moves to go. The dwarf waved his hammer and laughed disdainfully. Are all the strong people from the 8th district so untrustworthy? Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Under the lead of the dwarf, the millions of members of the Divine Palace all laughed out loud. That ear-piercing laughter infuriated Tanfeng to the extreme. Only now did he know that although the members of the Divine Palace were very weak, together they could stimulate people's hearts. Tanfeng has completely lost to Wang Kai, whether it's in terms of calculation or strength. He's like a fool, completely under the control of Wang Kai. The king shook his head slightly and said lightly. On the side, little Wang blinked when she heard this. Looking at Wang Kai, who was sitting there and watching the show, she really couldn't believe it. Why is he so powerful? Not only is his breakthrough speed fast, but he's also good at calculation. He could obviously destroy everyone with a wave of his hand, but he just had a scheme and trapped them. He had completely pushed Tanfeng to the bottom of the valley. What are you looking at? Are you still thinking about letting him live? Wang Kai frowned, turned his head, and looked at little Wang. I don't care anymore. Little Wang pursed her red lips and shook her head. She didn't know why, but when she was questioned by Wang Kai again, she was very afraid and worried. Almost subconsciously, she spoke out her thoughts. After saying it, little Wang felt very regretful. Well, you need to know that this kind of person is not worthy of your protection. Wang Kai nodded gently and smiled with satisfaction. Tanfeng, look at who I am. Buzz. At the same time, the beautiful prisoner stepped out, swaying her body, and looked at Tanfeng coquettishly. Moreover, the doppelganger in the palace also walked out and merged into the female prisoner's body in front of Tanfeng. Damn it, you actually dare to deceive me? Tanfeng reacted in an instant. His face could be said to be extremely green. Ha ha ha, you're stupid, okay? The beautiful prisoner sneered disdainfully. Chapter 1249. What? Hearing this, Wang Kai's expression froze. The warden and the others also frowned in surprise. My king and little Wang should be at the God realm. Their father shouldn't be able to capture them, right? The warden frowned and asked in confusion. Reporting to the warden, the 8th zone has invited the God realm master of the 3rd zone to forcibly take Prince Xiao and little Wang out of the 8th zone. Hearing the report, Wang Kai and the others couldn't help but look at each other. The God realm master of the 3rd zone? How dare they? Knowing that they can't defeat us, they took the opportunity to take little Wang and little Wang away. The warden sneered. Haha, with the strength of the 3rd zone, they even dare to snatch the palace master's woman. Are they tired of living? The dwarf waved his hammer and said disdainfully, They should know that I have the battle prowess of an eternity king, and they should know your cultivation realms. Since that's the case, they still dared to come looking for trouble. There must be an ambush waiting for us in District 3. Wang Kai waved his hand and said indifferently, Ambush. Hearing this, the warden and the others' faces all darkened. Indeed, knowing the strength of Wang Kai and the Divine Palace, they still dared to come looking for trouble. It was impossible that they didn't have the means and trump cards to deal with them. Thinking about it, once they reached the 3rd zone, they would face a great battle. Did you invite the God of Eternity? The warden narrowed his eyes and smiled. Hearing this, everyone frowned. Only the God of Eternity could deal with Wang Kai. It's just the God of Eternity. Get ready. We'll set off for the 3rd zone immediately. Wang Kai stood up and waved his hand with a faint smile. Once they reached the 3rd zone, they could continue to brag and use it to break through. Even if they didn't brag, the God of Eternity was only at the same level as Wang Kai. Moreover, Wang Kai was invincible in the same realm. It was impossible to deal with the Divine Palace without King Yu. Even if it was King Yu, Wang Kai could easily break through to the same realm. Host, Wang Kai class, Mechanic realm, Qin Shoshin Divine technique, Undying and Indestructible Overlord level Divine skill, Strengthen Overlord level Divine weapon, Heavenly Halberd Overlord level, the power of God, Full Spirit Divine, Torch Dragon's Eye energy, 8710 bragging points, 0 experience, 06000. If you boast 6 times, you can break through to the myriad cultivation God realm. If you boast 12 times, you can reach the Eternity King realm. At that time, with my mechanic form and enhanced skills, I will be able to fight against Zeno. Wang Kai casually glanced at it, then urged his mind to close the system page. Above the perfect king, there were still the imperishable and supreme realms. However, judging from the current situation, an expert of that caliber would not appear to deal with him for the time being. At most, it would be King Yu or King Quan. 1 month later, under the leadership of Wang Kai, the 30 million troops of the Divine Palace all stepped into the territory of the 3rd zone. This place was different from the other regions. It was not a dilapidated place, but beautiful scenery everywhere. It was very prosperous. Seeing this, Wang Kai couldn't help rubbing his chin. He smiled faintly and said, As expected of the top 3 districts, to be able to create such a perfect district, it's much better than the districts after the 4th district. Hee. After all, after the 4th zone, Qin Shoshin is the strongest. No one has the ability to reach the level of the 3rd zone. The warden smiled faintly. Bastard, where did you come from? How dare you trample on the flowers and plants of the 3rd zone? Don't you know that this is the territory ruled by myriad cultivation god and Lord Qinshin? This is the territory of Qinshin Palace. You'd better get out of here. Soon, a few experts of Qinsho God appeared in the sky. Looking at the army of 30 million below, it was a black mass. Even Qin Shoshin and the others felt their legs go soft at this moment. After all, there were experts who were not inferior to them. That was Qinsho God, Wan Shoshin. He did not hide his aura at all. Qinshin Palace? Qinshin? Wan Shoshin? Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this and said with an indifferent expression, What do? Have you done anything bad? Hearing this, the experts of Qinsho God were stunned. Who would ask someone if they had done anything bad? How should they answer such a question? Forget it. Ask your boss, Qianxin, to come out. Wang Kai waved his hand and said with an indifferent expression, Ask your boss, Qianxin, to come out and greet the master of Qianxin Palace. Buzz. In an instant, the army of 30 million roared in unison. The might could be said to be extremely mighty and ferocious. It had practically shaken the entire third region. Go now. Seeing that the experts of Qinxiu God did not take any action, the warden frowned and gave the order. At the same time, an extremely powerful pressure shook them from the sky and caused them to vomit blood and fall to the ground. This is the Ian King realm that is above myriad cultivation god. No, he has not reached the real Ian King realm. Could it be a half-step Ian King? The warden of the Avicii Hell? It should be him. In the third universe, only the warden of the Avicii Hell has reached this realm. Rumor has it that after breaking through to the Ian King realm, his battle strength will be several times more terrifying than ordinary Ian Kings. The experts of Qinxiu God wiped the blood from the corners of their mouths and immediately turned back to report with cold eyes. In the third universe, you are the only one who has reached the half-step Ian King realm. Wang Kai frowned and looked at him in surprise. The warden nodded gently and said proudly, Through the countless prisoners of the Avicii Hell, I have comprehended another realm. Fortunately, we follow the palace master. Otherwise, we would have been killed by you while helping you comprehend the half-step Ian King realm. The beautiful prisoner snorted unhappily. The rest of the prisoners also rolled their eyes and were secretly annoyed. Almost all of the prisoners released from the Avicii Hell were eliminated by the Divine Palace. They were used as stepping stones for Wang Kai and the Divine Palace. As for the strongest prisoners, most of them entered the first 3 districts, as well as the other districts after the 14th district. It would not be long before the Divine Palace used them as stepping stones and destroyed them. Master of the Divine Palace? Where did you come from? Don't you know that we, the Qinxiu God Palace, are the subordinates of Ian King? Suddenly, as a voice filled with anger rang out, a black mass of figures stepped through the air from the mountain peak in front of them. There were hundreds of thousands of them. They could be considered the overlords of this area. Ian King's subordinates? Hearing this, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth slightly curled up. With his hands behind his back, he said with an indifferent expression, If King Zhou were to do something bad, I would definitely destroy him with a single finger. If King Yu were to do something bad, I would also blow a breath of air and destroy him. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy point. Chapter 1250. Stop bragging. Qianxin was a burly middle-aged man. Furthermore, on the left side of his face, there was a scar, which gave him a threatening aura. Bin Xiao has never bragged. Everything that he has said is true. It can't be any more true. Wang Kai said calmly with his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 1,000 experience points, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy points. Indeed, to say that Wang Kai never bragged was the biggest braggart he had ever bragged about. Are you determined to go against Qianxin Palace? Qianxin frowned and stared at Su Mo with his eyes wide open. His aura was ferocious as he shouted, It's not that I can't go against you. I have never bullied others. I just want to know if Qianxin Palace has done anything bad. Wang Kai said with his hands behind his back. He looked at Qianxin with a mocking expression. Then he smiled and said, In other words, why can't we set foot in District 3? Who made the rule that you have the final say here? If others want to enter, they have to look at your face. Swoosh. When Suemo said that, Qianxin was stunned. He looked at Wang Kai speechlessly. He had never expected that this arrogant young man would ask such a question. Asking if others had done anything bad? How could he answer this question? The experts who had been asked this question before also had the corners of their mouths twitching. For such a question, the bad guy's answer would be that he had never done anything bad. As for who made the rule that Qianshan Palace was in charge of this place, it was naturally based on their fists. F***CK. I didn't expect that as the leader of tens of millions of people, you would ask such a childish question. This place was conquered by Qianshan Palace. Who do you think is in charge of this place? Who made the rule? Don't tell me that you don't have your own territory. When others casually bring a large army into your territory, won't you ask about it? At the end of his sentence, Qianshan spat out a mouthful of saliva. His eyes were filled with disdain, as if he was looking at a newcomer who had just debuted. Ahem, Palace Lord, what he said makes sense. Chuka's expression was very awkward as he secretly transmitted his voice. F***CK off. Wang Kai glanced at him coldly. Fortunately, he said it through voice transmission. If he said it out loud, wouldn't he be a joke? The rules you mentioned are only the rules of the third universe where the strong are respected. But I'm sorry, in my eyes, everyone is equal. Everyone can go to any place, and I won't be oppressed by any force and be inferior to others. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and said with an indifferent expression, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. The Palace Lord is mighty, righteous master. In an instant, many members of the Divine Palace saw that the Palace Master had regained his dignity and immediately shouted loudly. It must be said that the might of those 30 million people was extremely terrifying. Qianshan and the people of Qianshan Palace were so shocked that they swallowed their saliva. So you are playing with righteousness? Everyone is equal. Qianshan furrowed his thick eyebrows and grinned. He waved his hand and said, All right, since you are not here to attack our Qianshan Palace, I will not find trouble with you. You could do whatever you want. Let's go. As soon as his voice fell, Qianshan led the crowd and prepared to return home. However, before they could take a few steps, Wang Kai waved his hand and stopped them in their tracks. That powerful force caused the people of Qianshan Palace to break out in cold sweat. It was as if they could lose their lives at any time. Zeus King? You are Zeus King? Qianshan's expression changed drastically. He turned around and looked at Wang Kai, who was wearing a pure white armor and holding the Sky Piercer halberd in his hand. Qianshan's heart suddenly beat violently. No, I am tens of thousands of times stronger than Zeus King. But to you, it is enough for me to show the standard of Zeus King realm. Wang Kai shrugged and said casually, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy points. No matter how strong you are, I choose to submit. Is that not enough? At the end, Qianshan's face turned bitter. He immediately led the crowd and knelt down on one knee before Wang Kai. Such a dramatic turn of events caused Wang Kai to be stunned. The 30 million members of Qianshan Palace were stunned. Who would have thought that God Qianshan, who was so arrogant just now, would suddenly kneel on the ground and choose to submit to Wang Kai? Is he also someone who bullies the weak and fears the strong? When he saw that the situation was not right, he immediately chose to submit. You are very wise. So wise that I am unable to punish you. Wang Kai rubbed his nose and said speechlessly. The warden and the others all had black lines on their foreheads. They really could not deal with such a weirdo. From now on, Qianshan Palace will no longer be a part of Qianshan Palace. Qianshan Palace will be the leader. We are all one family. Ha ha! Qianshan laughed heartily and rushed over, as if he was familiar with them. He even wrapped his arms around the warden's neck and said with a smile, Brother, you look very elegant. What's your title? When the few top powers from Qianshan Palace who knew who the warden was saw this, their faces turned pale. They kept waving their hands at Qianshan and signaling him with their eyes. However, Qianshan did not pay any attention to him. He continued to hug the warden's shoulder intimately. It was as if the two of them were brothers. Oh no, if I had known, I would have told Boss about the warden of the abyss of hell. The corners of the mouths of several thousand God Palace cultivators twitched as they felt regret in their hearts. It was too late to tell Qianshan Palace now. I don't have any title. The warden said flatly. He was not angry. He was expressionless, and no one could tell what he was thinking. You don't have a title? F***CK. Brother, what is your name? I will give you a good name. From now on, under the leadership of the palace master, who is a king of Eternity Realm, we will definitely be famous in the third universe. Qian Shun raised his thick eyebrows and said proudly, My name? It has been too long. I really don't remember. The warden shook his head and said, You don't even remember your name? Brother, have you been on the battlefield for so long that your brain is damaged? What a pity. If not, I will be called Qian Shun and you will be called by Shun. Qian Shun said with a grin. Whoosh. As soon as he said that, the entire place became so silent that one could hear a pin drop. They could vaguely feel a cool breeze blowing past. The few cultivators from Qian Palace were so scared that their faces turned pale and they could not stop trembling. What the hell? How could he give a name to the warden of the abyss of hell? He even said that his brain was damaged. Did he not want to live anymore? Chapter 1251. Did the red dust Taoist in the thundercloud bully you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked softly. It was the red dust Taoist who sent Wang Kai to the Chaos Realm in the Qin domain. He said that he was following the orders of the Master of Chaos to deal with him. But until now, Wang Kai hadn't seen the so-called Master of Chaos. It must be that Fushi. No, we cultivated in the Thundercloud Sea. With his guidance, we broke through very quickly. Now, we have reached the Heaven Opening Realm. Jing Xian smiled and shook her head. Heaven Opening Realm. Wang Kai nodded slightly. It seemed that the red dust Taoist was quite capable. The Heaven Opening Realm was the cultivation realm. It was already very difficult for Jing Xian and the others, who had never been to other universes, to reach such a realm. At least in the cultivation realm, they were invincible. Since you have a way to summon us, why don't you summon Sister Ling Xian, Sister Miao Yin, and the others as well? Jing Xian blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in confusion. Naturally, you are the most important. Wang Kai's lips curled up slightly as he hugged her gently. Stop being naughty. I never believed that you would be an honest person who knew your place. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely not have anything to do with you. Jing Xian pursed her red lips and said with some blame and hidden bitterness. Hearing this, Wang Kai felt helpless. It seemed that he had really provoked Jing Xian this time. He hadn't seen her since he started cultivating. They hadn't been together for long in the Qin domain. Cough, cough. I don't have the ability to summon everyone for now. When we go to the first region, I will summon them. Now, let me raise your cultivation. Wang Kai had no choice but to tell the truth. Help me raise my cultivation. Hearing this, Jing Xian frowned slightly and smiled in surprise. You still have this kind of ability now? It won't harm you? It will harm you. Then you don't need to help me raise my cultivation. I will rely on my own cultivation. Even if I can't catch up to you, I'll be fine with you around. Jing Xian smiled gently. Jing Xian. Wang Kai felt a surge of warmth in his heart. She didn't even listen to what he had to say. She rejected him directly after hearing that there would be harm. From this, it could be seen how gentle Jing Xian was. Don't worry. The so-called damage isn't really damage. I can easily recover. You need to know that your man is the strongest person in Universe 3. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through the realm and reaching the Myriad Cultivation God Realm. Host, Wang Kai Class, Mechanic Realm. Myriad Cultivation God Divine Technique. Undying and Indestructible Overlord Level Divine Skill. Strengthen Overlord Level Divine Weapon. Heavenly Halberd Overlord Level, the Power of God. Full Spirit Divine Eye. Torch Dragon's Eye Energy. 93 10 bragging points. 100 experience. 07000 1 Shioshin. If he used his mechanic form and strengthened skills, he would be able to obtain King Yu's battle strength. Furthermore, if he helped Jing Xian raise her cultivation, she would be able to obtain the realm of the Myriad Cultivation God, which would be on par with his true realm. You're not lying to me, right? Jingxian blinked her beautiful eyes, stared at Wang Kai, and asked gently, No, there's no need to help me raise my cultivation. I don't believe you. You've always loved to brag and lie. However, it's true that you love me deeply. I don't want you to harm yourself in order to help me raise my cultivation. Jingxian shook her head and refused with a smile again. He wasn't trusted. Hearing this, Wang Kai's first feeling was like this. A strong sense of danger immediately welled up in his heart. No, I have to gain her trust. Prove that I am the strongest man in Universe 3. Wang Kai secretly swore in his heart. He immediately raised his hand and transformed into a mechanic. He then used his strengthening skill and directly raised Jingshuan's cultivation to the myriad cultivation god realm. Host, this time, transforming into a mechanic has consumed a total of 10 energy values. Host, Wang Kai profession, mechanic realm. Myriad cultivation god divine technique. Undying and indestructible overlord level divine skill. Strengthening overlord level divine weapon. Sky piercer overlord level the power of God. Full spirit divine eye. Torch dragon eye energy. 83, 10 bragging points. 600 experience. 07000. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai casually glanced at it. Naturally, he was too lazy to care about the energy value's consumption. Jingxian frowned. She was naturally very clear that her cultivation had increased, and it had increased to an extremely terrifying level. This kind of horror was indescribable. However, it gave Jingxian the feeling that it was extremely far away. Compared to the heaven-opening realm, it was much stronger. Even though she knew that Wang Kai would be stronger than the heaven-opening realm, she definitely didn't expect that he would be strong to such an extent. It was simply ridiculously strong. Look, I didn't do any damage, right? With my current ability, it's still very easy to help 10 people raise to the realm of Myriad Cultivation God. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Myriad Cultivation God, Universe 3, District 1. Jingxian frowned and asked softly, You have enemies here? Yes, there are indeed enemies here, but don't worry. It's easy for me to kill them. At that time, this entire universe will be ours. When I become the ruler of Universe 3, let's get married here. Wang Kai said with a smile. Get married. Hearing this, Jingshuan's delicate body trembled, and her beautiful eyes became misty. Even though she wanted to agree to Wang Kai, Jingxian still restrained herself. If you get married, then do it with your other women. Those who have a relationship with you, you can't ignore them. No matter what, you can't. If they only have feelings for you and don't have a definite relationship, you don't have to see them again. Jingxian said coldly. There was no room for doubt in his expression. Regarding this, Wang Kai didn't know why, but he didn't dare to resist at all. Li Lingxian, Lu Rou, Ji Ruxue, and the others don't have a definite relationship with me. They're different. Now they are all in the Thundercloud Azure Sea, especially Kong Ling. She and her father saved my life, so you must marry them. Jingxian said faintly. Wang Kai rubbed his nose. According to Jingshuan's words, the women in the 8 Desolates, Immortal Martial Domain, and Fan Province were different from the other places. As for the women he had a relationship with, Wang Kai felt a headache just thinking about it. Although it wasn't a lot, it wasn't a small number, right? Especially the 3rd princess in Primal Chaos City. Wang Kai really didn't know how to meet her again. He wanted to see her, but also didn't want to see her. You won't agree? Jingxian blinked her beautiful eyes and asked. Chapter 12:52. Yes, I agree to everything. Wang Kai gritted his teeth and said, Wasn't it just marrying a few wives together? Wang Kai would naturally agree to such a wonderful thing. However, Jingxian had another request, which was that he couldn't meet any women without a definite relationship. Moreover, this was only limited to the 8 Desolates, Immortal Martial Domain, and Fan Prefecture. He had to marry all the women in the 8 Desolates and other places. As for the women in other places, he couldn't meet any of them without a definite relationship. Okay, Now tell me about the third universe and your enemies. Jing Xian blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a cold expression. Jing Xian wouldn't be merciful to Wang Kai's enemies. The blood-clothed Bodhi's name wasn't just for show, but for killing. Even if this place was different from the lower realms, the blood-clothed Bodhi wouldn't change. Once he killed, he was even more ruthless than Wang Kai. At that time, if he hadn't coincidentally slept with Jing Xian in the end, Wang Kai would definitely have been killed by her. There are a total of 7 universes. The cultivation world, where we are, is one of the universes. This is the third district of the third universe. Then, Wang Kai told Jing Xian everything in detail. It could be said that other than women, he didn't leave out a single word. The two of them stayed in the crack of space for more than a month. Wang Kai, who had always wanted to be affectionate with Jing Xian, also suffered from not having the opportunity. He was constantly asked by her to tell her everything he had experienced along the way. Why is there nothing about women? Jing Xian frowned and stared at Wang Kai. She said coldly, "Are you deliberately hiding it, or do you really know your place? If you really know your place, I can save myself a lot of trouble. After we're done with the matters in the third universe, you and I will return to the heavenly domain and go to the Thundercloud Sea to bring Kong Ling and the rest back to Fan Prefecture. At that time, we'll get married together." Whoosh! Hearing this, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. If things went according to her wishes, not to mention women who had never slept with him, even women who had slept with him would not be able to see him again. Cough, cough, that Jing Xian, little Xian. Don't be naughty. Tell me, did you hide it on purpose? Jing Xian coldly interrupted. Yes, helpless. Wang Kai could only lower his head and silently admit it. You can deal with it yourself. I won't ask further. However, you have to remember what I said before. You can't let down any woman. Of course, those who haven't had sex with you are not in consideration. Jing Xian said coldly. Obviously, Jing Xian did not intend to let all the women follow Wang Kai. Only those who have had sex will allow it. This was good for those women, and it was also good for the women who followed Wang Kai. No woman was willing to share a man with many people. Jing Xian had a deep understanding of this, but she had already fallen into Wang Kai's trap and could no longer extricate herself. If she could prevent other women from jumping into the trap, Jing Xian would naturally do her best to stop it. Okay. Wang Kai's mouth twitched as he agreed helplessly. From now on, I won't let you leave my side for even a moment. If you dare to do that, I will kill myself. Jing Xian suddenly said coldly. Kill herself. Hearing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly changed. Especially Jing Xian's serious expression. It made Wang Kai's heart twist. Wang Kai would never allow anything to happen to anyone, especially Jing Xian. Okay, I won't leave your side for even half a step. Wang Kai's face was very serious as he nodded and promised. Then let's go out and meet your enemies. The sooner we kill them, the sooner we can go back, Jing Xian said lightly. Wang Kai touched his nose and looked at her a little bashfully. He really wanted to be intimate with her, but he did not know why he could not say it. In such a situation, even Wang Kai started to look down on himself. He was a bragging god, and he wanted to do it with his own woman. How could he be embarrassed? What was going on? What were you doing? Jing Xian frowned and looked at Wang Kai in confusion. This was the first time Jing Xian had seen Wang Kai so bashful. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Shouldn't we? What should we do? Jing Xian blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at him in confusion. Wang Kai could clearly see a crafty glint in her beautiful eyes. Even though he knew that she was doing it on purpose, he could not be tough. On one hand, he felt guilty towards her. On the other hand, he was naturally afraid of her. He did not know where this fear came from. In short, Wang Kai was still very afraid of Jing Xian. Shouldn't you let me kiss you? Wang Kai scratched his head and said awkwardly. He wanted to say that they should consummate their marriage, but when the words reached his mouth, he could not bring himself to say it. Oh! Jing Xian nodded slightly and stepped forward. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed Wang Kai on the lips. Although it was just a light touch, it completely aroused Wang Kai's desire. Can we go out now? Jing Xian asked, blinking her beautiful eyes. This little girl, is she done teasing me? Wang Kai's face darkened, and he was speechless. You're still not satisfied? What do you want to do? Jing Xian frowned and was very unhappy. Wang Kai touched his nose when he heard that. What do you want to do? You obviously know, but you still ask me. I want to sleep with you, Wang Kai said through gritted teeth. Bah, lecher. The moment his voice fell, even if she knew Wang Kai's purpose, Jing Xian could not help but spit. Her beautiful face instantly turned red. In her beautiful eyes, there was a strong sense of longing. Then why are you still hesitating? In the past, you've never been such a woman. Jing Xian frowned and rolled her eyes in disdain. Then she said, I have my own selfish motives. You don't have a child yet, right? Child, Wang Kai was startled when he heard that. He touched his nose and said, No, I've always been very careful. Before I give birth to a child for you. You can't have children with other women. Jing Xian nodded coldly. Then you want one now? Wang Kai touched his nose and looked at her in surprise. What? You don't agree? If that's the case, then don't ask me. The distance between us can't exist in bed, Jing Xian said indifferently. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and make a baby. Wang Kai's eyes flashed when he heard that. He immediately picked up Jing Xian. The boy is called Wang Xian, and the girl is called Wang Jing. Work harder. Jing Xian's cheeks were red as she whispered shyly. Chapter 1253. For 3 months, Wang Kai had been sticking with Jing Xian. They never left each other's side and never went out of the space crevice. At the same time, Fatso Lu and the others, who had improved their cultivation with the help of Wang Kai, had become friends with the Divine Palace members. Aside from the warden, no one else was a match for Wan Xioshan. In addition, they had known Wang Kai for a long time, so their status in the Divine Palace was extremely high. They even overshadowed the warden, who was the strongest person under Wang Kai. Moreover, Fatso Lu, Niuzha Tian, and the others were not easy to deal with. They formed cliques and fought with each other to determine who was the strongest assistant under Wang Kai. For 3 months, there were constant battles. Of course, the members of the Divine Palace were not fighting each other, but they were competing to occupy territory. Whoever occupied the most territory would be the victor, in the name of justice. Today, the strongest person was temporarily Cat Lord, the second was Fatso Lu, the third was Lu Tian, the fourth was Niuzha Tian, and the fifth was Cao Cao. These were the top 5 forces who were most likely to become the second in command. Even though the warden was very strong, he was not very good at upholding justice. Furthermore, he had no intention of competing with them. On the contrary, he was called here and there to help. When he encountered a force with many divine cultivators, the warden would come forward to check and balance. In front of us is Zhou Wang's territory. If we don't join forces, I'm afraid it will be difficult to take it down. Fatso Lu shook his big belly and grinned sinisterly. Can we take it down if we join forces? Zhou Wang is not someone we can fight against. Cao Cao was very unhappy and snorted coldly. Even if Wang Kai had improved his cultivation again and reached the divine cultivator's realm, he was still bullied miserably when he encountered Fatso Lu and Lu Tian. It was more like a scheme than a bully. Fatso Lu, Lu Tian, Niuzha Tian, and Cat Lord were more insidious and cunning than the other. They were the kind of people who would cheat people to death without paying with their lives. I'm not afraid. If he doesn't accept it, I will burst his ass. Lu Tian grinned and smiled very casually. Furthermore, he made a gesture of pointing a spear at Cao Cao. Such a gesture caused Cao Cao's chrysanthemum to tighten, and a cold wind blew from his back. Cao Cao had experienced this move before. If not for the fact that Zhang Xian had managed to avoid being struck in his vitals, he would have been in a terrible state. I'm not afraid. In this world, nobody can injure me, said Niuzha Tian proudly with his eyes wide open. He, who was known for his defensive power, was naturally not afraid of any attacks. Even if he didn't raise his cultivation, it would be difficult for him to be injured here. If it's Zeus King, Lord Cat can use an illusion to trap him for a moment. However, it will be difficult to kill him. Lord Cat stroked his beard and said with narrowed eyes, "Don't kill him, save him. I will make him a servant of our divine palace." Wahahaha. Fatso Lu laughed out loud. As someone who practiced Buddhism, he was extremely adept at delivering living beings. They weren't even afraid of King Zeus. Indeed, everyone had the ability to surpass their level. Of course, their method of leapfrogging wasn't to kill, but to trap and drag. It wasn't a real leapfrogging. Fatso Lu patted his belly and said, "Let's join forces. If we can't save Pudu and kill Zhou Wang, we'll ask the warden to give him the final blow. At the very least, we'll cripple him. I can't kill King Zeus King, but if he can't resist, I can severely injure him." The warden smiled confidently. Clap. As soon as he said that, Lord Cat snapped his fingers and said, "Let's do it. Let's join forces and defeat King Zeus King in the central region. Let's completely occupy the third region. Well, Chu Ku, go and inform everyone in the Divine Palace to get ready for a fight." The warden nodded and said. At the same time, Wang Kai, who was in the space crack, was holding Jing Xian in his arms. He was speechless and said, "Why isn't she pregnant yet? Are you doing this on purpose?" Jing Xian frowned and looked at Wang Kai suspiciously. As a cultivator, she naturally had her ways to prevent giving birth to children. However, Wang Kai's realm was too high. Jing Xian couldn't see anything. I'm working very hard, okay?" Wang Kai spread out his hands and said innocently, "Then it must be you. You're too promiscuous. You can't have children." Jing Xian frowned and said with a sad expression, "What the hell?" Hearing this, black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead, and he immediately said with displeasure, "That's impossible, and it doesn't exist. I'm fine. How can I not have children?" "Then you mean it's my problem?" Jing Xian said coldly. This is not your problem." Wang Kai's face stiffened and he touched his nose awkwardly. "Why don't we do it again?" Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "Again? It's been 3 months. Don't you know that Fatso Lu and the others are going to attack Zhou Wang's domain? Why don't you follow them and protect them?" Jing Xian rolled her eyes and said, "Don't worry about them. Even if they can't kill Zhou Wang, they can still teach him a lesson. If they can't do it, it won't be too late for me to take action." Wang Kai touched his nose and said with a smile, "Grandpa Cat, Nyoja Tian, and the others were very capable, and Wang Kai trusted them. Even if they couldn't defeat him, they could still trick him. You should find a reason. Otherwise, no matter how many times you try, it will be useless." Jing Xian shook her head and said helplessly. For 3 months, they repeated the same thing day and night. Wang Kai was full of energy. Jing Xian was completely convinced. Is it because of the system? Wang Kai touched his nose and secretly asked the system, is it because you're preventing me from having children? Host, the system doesn't have that function." Hearing the system's prompt, Wang Kai was speechless and said, "Then why can't I get pregnant? Help me find out who's the reason." Host, this will cost 100 bragging points. No problem. Host, you're already pregnant. If you wish to know the gender, you'll have to pay another 100 bragging points. This time, a total of 100 bragging points will be used. What? Pregnant? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this and asked with some confusion, "Then why can't we detect it?" Host, your child is very strong. It will take 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years to be born. It all depends on the timing. Maybe one day is enough. Hearing the prompt, Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Chapter 1254. Is that a man or a woman? Wang Kai frowned and asked. Host, there are both men and women. This time, a total of 200 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai profession, mechanic realm. Myriad cultivation, god divine technique. Undying and indestructible overlord level, divine skill. Strengthening overlord level, divine weapon. Heavenly halberd overlord level, the power of God. Full god divine eye. Torch dragon's eye energy. 84, 10 bragging points, 300 experience, 07000, isn't it 100? Host twins double. Wong Kai's forehead was filled with black lines as he cut off the connection with the system. Then he looked at Jing Xian and said awkwardly, "Actually, you are already pregnant, and it's even twins. However, it will take some time before they can be born." "How do you know?" "I don't feel anything." Jing Xian frowned and asked in confusion. "Cough, cough. In short, what I said is true. Now, you just need to quietly recuperate. You don't need to interfere in the battle with the King of Eternity." Wong Kai waved his hand and said helplessly. He really didn't know how to explain it to her. She probably wouldn't believe him even if he told her about the system, and it would cause even more trouble. Since that was the case, he might as well not say it. Wang Xian, Wang Jing, both of them? Jing Xian pursed her red lips, her beautiful eyes filled with joy. No matter how Wang Kai found out, Jing Xian was pleasantly surprised. At the very least, she knew very well that Wang Kai had always been very mysterious and would definitely not lie to her. "Yes, they're all. Cough, cough, and they're very strong. When they are born, they will definitely be very awesome. There is no other way. My child will definitely be the strongest existence in the entire universe. This is my inheritance." Wang Kai shrugged and said proudly, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Host, Wang Kai profession, mechanic realm, myriad cultivation, god divine technique, undying and indestructible overlord level divine skill, strengthening overlord level divine weapon, heavenly halberd overlord level the power of God, full spirit divine eye, torch dragon's eye energy, 84, 10 bragging points, 400 experience, 10007000. Can you summon Kongling over? I want her to accompany me." Jing Xian frowned as she stared at Wang Kai and asked, "Ethereal? The fake 8 Desolation Celestial Emperor?" The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Helplessly, he urged the system and said, "Summon Kongling from the thundercloud sea of the sky domain." Congratulations to the host for successfully summoning. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Wang. As the system notification disappeared, the white-robed ethereal appeared in front of him. "You're Wang Kai?" Kongling blinked her beautiful eyes. The moment she looked at Wang Kai, she was stunned. He had never thought that he would be able to meet Wang Kai again. "Jing Xian, you guys, you suddenly disappeared because of him." After saying that, Kongling hurriedly took a few steps back and looked at Jing Xian in shock. Then she said to Wang Kai in shock, "What do you want me to do by asking me to come over? I'm not interested in you." "It was Jing Xian who asked you to come over." Wang Kai shrugged and said with disdain, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Summon Li Ling Xian, Miao Yin, Lu Ro, and Ji Ruxue over. All right, and wait, I can only summon 4 people for now." Wang Kai was speechless as he waved his hand to stop her. "Host, Wang Kai occupation, mechanic realm, myriad cultivation god divine technique, undying and indestructible overlord level divine skill, strengthening overlord level divine weapon, heavenly halberd overlord level the power of God, full spirit divine eye, torch dragon's eye energy, 85 10 bragging points, 400 experience, 30007000 with 400 bragging points. 100 could be used to summon 1 person. All right then, summon Lu Ro, Ji Ruxue, Miao Yin, and Li Ling Xian over first." Jing Xian nodded and said, "All right." Wang Kai rubbed his nose and communicated with the system in agreement. Congratulations to the host for the successful summoning. This time, a total of 400 bragging points were consumed. Wang. As the system notification disappeared, Lu Ro, Ji Ruxue, Miao Yin, and Li Ling Xian all appeared beside the empty space. Wang Kai. The moment they saw Wang Kai, Miao Yin and Li Ling Xian threw themselves into Wang Kai's embrace without any hesitation. Lu Ro and Ji Rushua looked at each other with some hesitation. In the depths of their beautiful eyes, there was also envy and longing. However, their faces were cold and aloof, and they did not show it at all. Especially Lu Ro. I want to have children with you. If we have children, I will be your wife. They will all be concubines, Miao Yin said with a smile. She was wearing a golden Buddhist robe, and it was still the same strange outfit that covered her private parts. It was extremely charming. No, Jing Xian frowned and looked at her coldly. Then she said indifferently, before my child is born, none of you are allowed to have children with Wang Kai. Otherwise, I will kill every single one of them. Whoosh. Hearing this, even Miao Yin's face froze. She could only look at Wang Kai with a wronged expression. However, what she got in return was Wang Kai's helpless expression. He spread out his hands, not knowing how to comfort her. He was completely under Jing Xian's control. Where's this place? Lu Ro frowned and asked in a low voice. Universe 3, long time no see. You've reached the heaven opening realm. Not bad. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at her playfully with a smile. I said that when we meet again, the victor will be decided. Unfortunately, you're going further and further away. Lu Ro smiled bitterly and sighed. Even if he obtained the Vermilion Bird's inheritance, he was still no match for Wang Kai. You should wake up. In this universe, I am the only one. The current me has no opponents. Wang Kai waved his hand and said proudly, congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Really? He. Lu Ro was startled when she heard this. Her beautiful eyes stared blankly as she smiled bitterly. He's just bragging. Right now, he can only dominate the 3rd district of the 3rd universe. If he goes to the 2nd or 1st district, he won't be the strongest existence. You still have hope of catching up to him. Jing Xian quickly pursed her lips and said, is there still hope? Lu Ro shook her head and smiled bitterly. She didn't need to make a move to sense that the difference in strength between the two of them was too great. It was so great that it was unreachable. Moreover, at the same time that he was improving, Wang Kai was also improving. Moreover, he was improving his cultivation at an immeasurable speed. Help them increase their cultivation. Jing Xian pursed her red lips and stared at Wang Kai. Increase cultivation? Hearing this, Li Ling Xian and the others were all stunned. They were somewhat puzzled. He can help you increase your cultivation. Although you're not as strong as him, you're only 2 realms weaker than him. Jing Xian reminded gently. Really? When these words came out, the girls were all stunned. Chapter 1255. Of course it's true. These small matters are actually just trivial matters to me. If I want to, I can help you raise your cultivation to a level that surpasses mine. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and said with a proud expression, congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Then help me raise my cultivation to a level that surpasses yours. Lu Ro blinked her beautiful eyes and stared at Wang Kai seriously. Ji Rushua, Kong Ling, Li Ling Xian, and Miao Yin also looked at him. The girls were all looking forward to it. Don't listen to his lies. He doesn't have the ability. Jing Xian frowned and rolled her eyes helplessly. These people were the ones who understood Wang Kai the best, yet they couldn't see through him. Was he just bragging? I don't believe what you said. Lu Ro shook her head. I don't believe you either. Li Ling Xian and Miao Yin both turned their heads away. Sister Jing Xian, I don't believe you either. Our thoughts should be the same. You don't want us to become stronger than you, right? Ji Rushua pursed her red lips and said straightforwardly. What? Hearing this, Jing Xian was startled. For a moment, she felt as if the world was spinning. She kindly reminded them, but they didn't believe her. Instead, they believed in Wang Kai, who loved to brag. For the time being, I'll raise all of you to the divine realm of myriad cultivators, the same as Jing Xian. As for the matter of higher realms, let's talk about it later. I can't use up too much of my strength right now. Wang Kai waved his hand and said with an indifferent expression, "Loss of strength? Will you be hurt?" As soon as these words were spoken, Lu Ro and the others frowned and shook their heads in rejection. They no longer planned to let Wang Kai help them raise their cultivations. "Forget it, we can still cultivate by ourselves." "Ah, what are you doing?" "Bastard, where are you padding?" "Ah, you're hurting me." In an instant, before Lu Ro could finish speaking, Wang Kai had already made his move. It could be said that he had patted Lu Ro, Miao Yin, and the others from head to toe and pinched them a few times. When their cultivation base was promoted to myriad cultivation god, they didn't have time to be happy. They squatted down together, covered their chests with their hands, and stared at Wang Kai with blushing faces. Wang Kai's speed was simply too fast. There was simply no way to guard against him. By the time they reacted, everyone had already suffered a loss. "You better control yourself." Jing Xian's face was expressionless as she secretly reminded him. It's just a touch. You won't even let me do that?" Wang Kai rubbed his nose, feeling speechless. What if I get addicted to it? Was she going to sleep on the bed too? Humph. It's fine if you can't control yourself, but don't let them get pregnant. Otherwise, I will really kill them. Jing Xian coldly transmitted her voice. Hearing this, Wang Kai swallowed his saliva. It seemed that Jing Xian was serious this time. Little did she know that all of this was caused by Wang Kai himself. If it weren't for the fact that there were too many women, Jing Xian wouldn't have felt a sense of crisis. That was why she wanted the first heir. The other women also had the same idea. However, Kongling was an exception, and so was Lu Ro. Even if Lu Ro had that kind of feeling for Wang Kai, it wasn't to the point of being ingrained in her bones. Kongling didn't even have any feelings. "Well, I promise you, I will control my GG." Wang Kai shrugged and agreed helplessly with a voice transmission. "It's yourself, not GG. Xiaopi, do you hear me?" Black lines appeared on Jing Xian's forehead as she reminded him unhappily. Okay, it's GG, not. You are really too presumptuous. It's me, not GG. Wang Kai rubbed his nose and hurriedly replied with a serious expression. "What are you two talking about in secret?" Miaoying blinked her beautiful eyes and asked suspiciously. Li Lingxian, Ji Ruxue, and Lu Ro also looked at them. On the other hand, Kongling was extremely calm. "Womanizer, you have too many women and you are looking for trouble for yourself." "Serves you right." Kongling snorted disdainfully. "It's nothing. Jing Xian said to let you two get married together. When the time comes, we will return to the Fan Prefecture and get married." Wang Kai shrugged and said, "Get married?" Miao Yin's beautiful eyes flickered when she heard this. Li Lingxian and Ji Ruxue couldn't help but blush. They were looking forward to it. Return to the Fan Prefecture? Lu Ro blinked her beautiful eyes as her thoughts drifted. But in the end, Lu Ro could only smile bitterly. What she did to Wang Kai back then, he probably wouldn't consider her as a marriage partner, right? Forget it. Our fate is over. Why should I force it? Lu Ro shook her head and warned herself in her heart. "I won't marry you. Stop dreaming. Womanizer." "Bah!" Kongling snorted in disdain. She immediately tore through space and left. Wang Kai's brows twisted when he saw this scene. He said in disdain, "Who the hell said I'm going to marry you? She really thinks she's something. She even spat at me. Fuck." Wang Kai. Jing Xian frowned as she coldly shouted, I didn't plan to marry her in the first place. She's still trying." Wang Kai shrugged and snorted in an unconcerned manner. "Aren't you very good with women? Since the soft approach didn't work, why don't you use force?" Jing Xian blinked her beautiful eyes and suddenly smiled. Using force. Miao Yin pursed her red lips when she heard this. She vaguely remembered that she was forcefully pressed against a rock by Wang Kai and did that to him. Miao Yin felt her entire body heat up when this thought appeared. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she looked at Wang Kai. When Wang Kai looked at her, she purposely licked her lips. That seductive and enchanting look stimulated Wang Kai so much that he swallowed his saliva. This hint is too good. Unfortunately, Jing Xian won't let me. Wang Kai shook his head in distress. He quickly withdrew his gaze and didn't dare to look at her again. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hold himself back and would really do that to her. You can do that to her, but you can't have children. However, you have to get Kongling first. Jing Xian said in a deep voice. Whoosh. Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. He thought that Jing Xian and Kongling were really good sisters. All right, I'll go find that little hussy now. Wang Kai shrugged. He waved his hand and tore open space. Then he strode out. Wang Kai, where are you going? You guys wait here. Jing Xian's figure flashed and blocked Miao Yin. Oomph. You're the myriad cultivator's god. I'm also the myriad cultivator's god. Do you think we're afraid of you? Miao Yin pursed her red lips and snorted unwillingly. After Wang Kai left, Li Lingxian, Ji Ruxue, and even Lu Rou had a strong and obvious hostility toward Jing Xian. Chapter 1256. You're no match for me. Moreover, even if I stood here and let you hit me, you wouldn't dare to touch me. Jing Xian said indifferently with her hands behind her back. You're really good at pretending. Li Lingxian covered her face and laughed. Ji Ruxue and the other girls also looked at her with disdain. It would be strange if they didn't dare to hit her. They would just kill her if she said so. I'm pregnant with Wang Kai's children, and they're twins. If you want to fight, then come at me. If something happens to my children, you'll be able to escape the danger of me having children first. Jing Xian looked at them indifferently and said coldly, Whoosh. However, the moment she finished speaking, Ji Ruxue and the other girls were stunned. She's pregnant with Wang Kai's children, and they're freaking twins? Such words caused Miao Yin and the other girls to want to scold him. You win. Miao Yin pursed her red lips and said coldly. Lu Rou and the other girls also turned their heads away, giving up on being enemies with her. They knew very well that if they did anything to Jing Xian and caused something to happen to their children, Wang Kai would definitely be angry. I'm afraid the position of the first wife is gone, but I must get the second wife. Ji Ruxue swore to herself. Second madam, that's not bad. At least it's better than the next one. Miao Yin blinked her beautiful eyes and thought to herself. What a jerk. What a jerk. He actually had a child with another woman first. This won't do. When we return to Fan Province and get married, I must find the old marshal and ask him to give me the position of legal wife. With my honor master here, the old man will definitely give me some face. Li Lingxian narrowed her eyes and thought to herself smugly. The tower master of White Jade Hotel had always been in Fan Province and naturally had a close relationship with the old master of the marshal's residence. In Li Lingxian's words, even if she had a child, it would be useless. If I really can marry him, it looks like I'll have to beg my parents. They have a close relationship with Wang Kai's parents. Lu Rou thought to herself with a frown. No matter what move you think of, it will all be in vain in the end. Jing Xian looked at them indifferently and said with a cold smile. Jing Xian had absolute confidence that she could eat Wang Kai alive. In fact, this was indeed the case. That's not necessarily true. Li Lingxian curled her lips in disdain. That's right. Miao Yin raised her head and snorted. She thought to herself, if it really doesn't work, I can only ask my good sister for help and let her coax that damn fatty. It should be very useful for Wang Kai's best friend to come forward, right? Haha. Instead of thinking about impossible things, let's see how Wang Kai will win Kongling's heart, hee. Jing Xian couldn't help pursing her lips and smiling. She suddenly felt very interested. Wang. With a wave of his hand, the figures of Wang Kai and Kongling appeared in the air. Miao Yin and the other girls also blinked their beautiful eyes and looked over in surprise. As soon as Kongling left, Wang Kai also left. The girls naturally knew what he was going to do. Why did you come with me? I'll never marry you. In the forest, Kongling, who was stopped by Wang Kai, frowned and looked at him coldly. Aren't you and Jing Xian good sisters? Wang Kai frowned and held back his anger. He asked with a stiff smile. Yes, so what? Kongling said indifferently. In that case, she will marry me, and you will marry me. This way, you can always be good sisters, inseparable from each other day and night. Yes, the three of us will be together. Wang Kai touched his nose and said matter-of-factly, Inseparable from each other all day and night? The three of us? Hearing this, black lines appeared on Kong Ling's forehead. She gritted her teeth and coldly reprimanded. Shut up, you lecher. You're such a womanizer. You already have so many women. Don't tell me you still won't let me go. You're different from them. You're a special existence. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and pretended to be very affectionate. A special existence. Hearing this, Kong Ling's heart couldn't help but tremble. There were so many beauties around him, but she was a special existence? She didn't know why, but a sense of pride spontaneously emerged in her heart. Bastard. How is she special? She's not as big as me. She's not as tall as me. The 8 Desolation Heavenly Emperor is a fake. Li Ling Xian snorted unhappily. That's right. She even turned the original Heavenly Emperor into an extremely ugly one. How is such a sinister woman special? Ji Ruxue echoed in agreement. Her sinister nature is special. Miaoing covered her face and laughed coquettishly. The girls looked at the scene that appeared and heard the conversation. They were so angry that they clenched their teeth. Don't take it too seriously. He's just using flowery words. Lu Ro was very calm. Her beautiful eyes looked indifferently at Wang Kai and Kong Ling in the image. Yes, little sister Lu Ro is right. You guys have to be careful too. Always pay attention to the girls who come into contact with Wang Kai. If he uses flowery words, you can expose and stop him. Jing Xian smiled faintly with her hands behind her back. How am I special? At the same time, Kong Ling, who had regained her senses, stared at Wang Kai and couldn't help but ask. She really wanted to know how she was better than Jing Xian and the others in Wang Kai's eyes. It had to be said that women were all like this. Wang Kai was very satisfied in his heart, but his face was very serious as he said, You have a kind of beauty that they don't have. This kind of beauty can't be described clearly. In short, I like it very much. I like it so much that I can't help myself. That means you don't know what's good about me. Kong Ling blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at him with disdain. She said with disdain, Don't waste your time. Your ability to pick up girls is useless against me. When he was the Heaven Emperor in Ba Huang, who hadn't he seen before? How could she fall into Wang Kai's trap so easily? Forget it. Ben Shao is too lazy to talk nonsense with you. If you don't agree, Ben Shao will give up on using soft methods and use force. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. Use force. Kong Ling's beautiful face changed when she heard this. She hurriedly took a few steps back and looked around. She trembled and asked, You can't be so shameless. You want to use force on me right here? Absolutely not. I'd rather die. In front of absolute strength, it's hard for you to die, even if you want to, right? Wang Kai touched his nose and said indifferently, You're shameless. Dirty, bastard. Ah, Jing Xian, come and save me. At the end of her words, Kong Ling suddenly shouted behind Wang Kai. F***CK. You have the nerve to use such a small trick in front of me? Forget it. I'll let you escape first. You can start running. After an hour, I'll catch up with you. How about it? Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and looked extremely disdainful. Chapter 12:57. Since she doesn't want to, then forget it. Suddenly, Jing Xian's voice came from behind. Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Indeed, he could feel Jing Xian's presence. When Kong Ling was shouting, Jing Xian had already torn through the void and arrived. I told you, I don't like her at all. She's just a little girl. What's so good about her? Wang Kai curled his lips in disdain. You just said that I'm special. Kong Ling's face immediately turned cold when she heard that. She stared at Wang Kai with her beautiful eyes. Are you special? Ask yourself what's special about you. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders in disdain and said indifferently, I was just teasing you. Don't think that I'm interested in you. You, Jing Xian, why don't you take care of him? He's too despicable. The infuriated Kong Ling could only look at Jing Xian for help. He's my husband. He took the initiative to pursue you, but you didn't agree. I can't help you with this. Jing Xian said indifferently. Whoosh. Kong Ling was dumbfounded when she heard that. She didn't expect that Jing Xian would speak up for Wang Kai. Moreover, she didn't give Kong Ling any face in front of her. Jing Xian is right. Do you know why I summoned you? Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Why? Don't you want me? Kong Ling frowned and snorted in disdain. What? You? Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose when he heard this. He shook his head with a smile and said, Don't blow your own trumpet. With your looks, I'm sorry, but I really don't like you. I asked you to come over because you have a good relationship with Jing Xian. I want you to stay by her side and accompany her to raise the baby. What? Nurture the baby? As soon as these words came out, Kong Ling's expression suddenly froze. He stared blankly at Wang Kai. Finally, his gaze fell on Jing Xian's stomach. What he saw was a flat area. It's only been a few months since you disappeared from the Thundercloud Sea, right? Pregnant? Or was it just recently conceived? Ethereal Spirit asked in a daze. Let's talk when we get back. Jing Xian nodded and left with Kong Ling. In the blink of an eye, the void was torn apart. Miao Yin and Li Lingxian rushed over together. Behind them were Lu Ro and Ji Ruxue. I want children too. Me too. Miao Yin and Li Lingxian both pursed their red lips and looked expectantly at Wang Kai. A cough. I'm afraid this won't work. You guys will really die. Wang Kai rubbed his nose awkwardly. Are you just going to watch me get killed by Jing Xian? Sweet Sound was very unconvinced. Li Lingxian was also heartbroken. Although she had long known that Wang Kai loved Jing Xian the most, she had never been willing to admit it in her heart. However, we can sneak in, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and grinned. Really? Sweet Sound's eyes lit up. Of course. Let's go. Wang Kai grinned, his expression rather lewd. What about the two of them? Don't tell me you want all four of them together? Sweet Sound pursed her red lips and pointed at Ji Ruxue and Lu Ro behind them. All four of them together, hiss. Hearing this, even Wang Kai couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It had to be said that this was too tempting. If all four of them could come together, Wang Kai would definitely not reject any of them. I have no objections, Ji Ruxue said softly with a red face. Li Lingxian and Sweet Sound looked at each other, their red lips twitching slightly. This time, they were destined to let Wang Kai have his way. What about you? How great would it be if all four of us could play together? Before Lu Ro could finish speaking, Wang Kai immediately waved his hand and pulled Lu Ro and the other girls into the void. Very quickly, numerous exclamations of surprise and shyness rang out, ceaselessly ringing in one's ears. You just gonna let it go like this? At the same time, Kong Ling stood beside Jing Xian and frowned. Naturally, she knew very well that Wang Kai must be with Sweet Sound and the other girls. I can't stop them. Jing Xian gently shook her head and smiled bitterly. Being able to keep Wang Kai in check was already the greatest power he had. But if it was too much, it would definitely cause Wang Kai to be dissatisfied. Mother, don't worry. I'm definitely stronger than anyone else. That's right. Mother, if you want to see us quickly, we could be born now. I'm very strong. Suddenly, two tender voices slowly rang out. Hearing this, Jing Xian's beautiful eyes widened. Kong Ling, who was beside her, was also stunned. The voice came from Jing Xian's stomach. Your two children are so powerful. Kong Ling blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in disbelief. I don't know. Jing Xian was a little stunned. Mother, when I get out, I'll definitely help you teach father a lesson. I'll also take care of his other children. I'll beat them all up. That's right. Mother, although I'm not as strong as sister, it's still very easy for me to take care of father's other children. As the two tender and arrogant voices rang out, Jing Xian's eyes flashed. Suddenly, her motherly love overflowed. Wang Kai is no longer important. Jing Xian covered her face and laughed. Then, she took Kong Ling with her and stepped into the air. Let's go. We'll find a good place and wait for them to be born. When the time comes, we'll come back to see Wang Kai. Jing Xian, if you do this, Wang Kai will be jealous, right? Kong Ling pursed her red lips and rolled her eyes. Mother, don't be afraid. I'll help you vent your anger. That's right. I'm very powerful. Hearing the tender voices, Jing Xian was even more delighted. She had completely forgotten about Wang Kai. Now, all she wanted was to wait for them to be born. What a weirdo. The father is a weirdo, and the children are weirdos. They're not even born yet, but they can communicate with each other. Are they monsters? Is Wang Kai's blood really that strong? Kong Ling blinked her beautiful eyes. She was extremely shocked. Then, another month passed. The army of Shun Gong had successfully conquered the third region. Moreover, they had severely injured Zhou Yang and forced him out of the third region. Well, Lu Tian, that last move of yours was really awesome. Fatso Lu clapped his hands and said in admiration. Indeed, it was awesome. You actually destroyed Zhou Yang's chrysanthemum. Niu Zhetian grinned in admiration. Of course, if he didn't run away fast enough, I would have made him blossom, Lu Tian said proudly. When the warden and the others heard that, the corners of their mouths twitched violently. When Lu Tian had destroyed Zhou Yang's chrysanthemum, everyone had seen it clearly. Now that they thought about it, they felt their hair stand on end. Chapter 1258. It's a pity that he escaped in the end, and Lord Cat was also seriously injured. Lu Tian shook his head and sighed. Well, if it weren't for Lord Cat's illusion that trapped Zhou Wang, we wouldn't have one so easily. The warden nodded and said, according to him, it will take another month for him to recover, right? I don't know if the escaped Zeus King will come back within this month. If he does, thinking of this, everyone's eyes sank. In the end, they still underestimated Zhou Wang's strength. Even if they succeeded in seriously injuring him, the extent of the injury was not obvious enough. Lord Cat's injury was more serious than Zhou Wang's. Once Zhou Wang came back, Lord Cat would not be able to do anything. At that time, Divine Palace would undoubtedly be defeated. What are you afraid of? There's still young Master Kai. He should be done with his lovers by now, right? Hee. Fatso Lu waved his hand and said indifferently. Hearing this, the warden and the others were speechless. However, they were relieved because of this. Indeed, with Wang Kai here, it would not be difficult to destroy Zhou Wang in District 3. You guys are very strong. Even Zhou Wang was defeated by you guys. Buzz. With a chuckle, Wang Kai's figure appeared in the conference room of Divine Palace. Regarding what happened in the outside world, Wang Kai naturally knew it like the back of his hand. Don't worry about Lord Cat's injury. He will recover soon. Wang Kai shrugged. Now, Lord Cat had been sent into the system and was quietly recuperating. Young Master Kai, Zhou Wang escaped from District 3. I'm afraid that he is now wandering around the border of District 3. Should we give him the final blow? Fatso Lu patted his belly and said, well, he is indeed recuperating at the border of District 3. At most, he will come back in 10 days. We just need to wait here for him. It's really boring to beat up an injured person. Wang Kai waved his hand and said casually. Hearing this, Fatso Lu trembled and couldn't help but be speechless. It seemed that Wang Kai's habit of bragging was still persisting. Little did he know that Wang Kai was telling the truth this time. With his current abilities, killing Zeus King would be a piece of cake. Young Lord Kai, did you make another breakthrough? Fatty Lu asked expectantly. The others also looked at Wang Kai. Yes, I've made a lot of breakthroughs and reached the Supremacy Realm. Universe 3 is already ours. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Host, Wang Kai Class, Mechanic Realm. Myriad Cultivation God Divine Technique. Undying and Indestructible Overlord Level Divine Skill. Strengthen Overlord Level Divine Weapon. Heavenly Halberd Overlord Level, the Power of God. Full Spirit Divine Eye. Torch Dragon's Eye Energy. 88 10 bragging points. 300 experience. 6000700. He was just one step away from reaching the true Eternity King realm. At that time, if he used his mechanic form and strengthened his skills, he would be able to obtain the combat power of an immortal king, surpassing that of King Yu. Are you serious? Young Master Kai, you're not bragging, are you? Fatso Lu patted his belly and asked suspiciously. As soon as he said that, the warden and the others' faces stiffened. Fatso Lu was probably the only one who dared to talk about Wang Kai like that. Even Lu Tian did not have the guts. Neoja Tian and Lord Cat did. Yes, I am indeed bragging. Ha ha ha. But the Supremacy Realm is indeed trash. I'm not afraid to tell you that before I summoned you, I had already killed hundreds of thousands of Supremacies. Wang Kai waved his hand and said proudly, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 1,000 experience, 100 bragging points, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the Eternity King Realm. Host, Wang Kai Class, Mechanic Realm. Eternity King Divine Technique. Undying and Indestructible Overlord Level Divine Skill. Strengthen Overlord Level Divine Weapon. Heavenly Halberd Overlord Level the Power of God. Full Spear Divine Eyes. Torch Dragon Eyes Energy. 8,910 bragging points. 400 experience. 08000. He had finally reached the Eternity King Realm. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai was overjoyed. Warden, how many Supremacies are there in the 3rd universe? Fatso Lu asked in a daze. Ahem, I don't know. The warden waved his hand. Why would he answer him? If that was the case, wouldn't it prove that Wang Kai was bragging? After all, there was only one Supremacy in the 3rd universe. But Wang Kai said that he had killed hundreds of thousands of Supremacies. If that was not bragging, then what was? Why are you looking at me? I don't know either. Chow Chow turned his head and said with the corner of his mouth twitching, Mechanic, strengthen, buzz. Suddenly, a holy silver armor covered Wang Kai's body. Then, his cultivation level rose to the Xeno King realm. Such a terrifying pressure made Fatso Lu, the warden, and the others feel their hearts quiver. It had definitely surpassed the Eternity King realm and even King Yu realm. But the warden could not guess what realm it was exactly. The warden had only seen King Yu and the Eternity King. He had never seen anyone stronger than them. I'll help you raise your cultivation level to the Eternity King realm. Wang Kai shrugged. With a wave of his hand, he raised the cultivation level of Fatso Lu and the others to the Eternity King realm. Eternity King, F*CK. Sensing the great increase in his strength, Fatso Lu immediately stood up excitedly. He had the spirit of being invincible, and no one could compete with him. You guys take care of the matters in the 3rd district and prepare to go to the 2nd district. I'll leave for a while. Wang Kai shrugged. He raised his hand and tore the void. One by one, he raised the cultivation level of Miao Yin, Li Lingxian, and the others to the Eternity King realm. Finally, he found a place where Jing Xian and Kong Ling were. This place is not bad. Green mountains and clear waters, and they even built a manor. TSK, no wonder I haven't seen them these days. They came here to nurture the baby. Wang Kai touched his nose. With a flash, he appeared in front of Jing Xian. Kong Ling was naturally there too. I'll help you raise your cultivation level to the Eternity King realm. Buzz. With a wave of his hand, Wang Kai raised Jing Xuan's cultivation level to the Eternity King realm. At the same time, Kong Ling looked at Wang Kai eagerly. She pointed at her own nose and asked, What about me? What about me? You? You have nothing to do with Ben Shao. Go cultivate by yourself. Wang Kai curled his lips and glanced at her with disdain. You. Hearing this, Kong Ling's pretty face turned ashen. She gritted her teeth and said, I've been accompanying Jing Xian here to nurture the baby. Even if I didn't contribute, I still worked hard. You can't be so stingy, right? Yes, father, you can't be so stingy. This baby can't listen to it anymore. That's right, stingy man. This baby doesn't recognize you anymore. Chapter 12:59. Who's talking? Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. For a moment, he was a little confused. Who else could it be? Of course it's your child. They know very well how hard I worked. Kong Ling pursed her red lips and smiled disdainfully. My child, where is it? Wang Kai was even more confused when he heard this. She had just been pregnant and hadn't been born yet. He hadn't even seen her, but she could already talk? Could it be that, as the system said, his child was very awesome? Where else could it be? Kong Ling was speechless and coldly snorted. Is it that magical? Wang Kai touched his nose. For a moment, he actually couldn't accept it. For some reason, a special emotion emerged in his heart. Bring Li Lingxian and the others here. As for you, go and deal with what you have to do. Before the child is born, I can't see you again. Jing Xian pursed her red lips and said shyly, don't let your child be like you, bragging every day. Kong Ling twisted her eyebrows and became even more disdainful. In this regard, Wang Kai was speechless. This baby has never bragged. Everything in this world belongs to this baby. Do I still need to brag? Yes, this baby is the strongest in the world. As the two tender voices sounded again, Kong Ling and Jing Xian froze on the spot. They couldn't help but look at each other and roll their eyes. Ha ha ha! Wang Kai, on the other hand, burst out laughing when he heard this. Not bad, just like me. As his voice fell, Wang Kai had already stepped into the air and left. After sending Li Lingxian and the other girls to the manor, Wang Kai returned to the Divine Palace. The third region is now completely under my control. Only the second and first regions are left. When I have the third universe in my hands, I will integrate the fourth to seventh universes. Then I will attack the second and first universes. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, only when he had conquered the 7 universes would this trip to another world be considered perfect. Only then would this trip not be in vain. I only hope that there won't be any more powerful places appearing so that I can rest in peace. Wang Kai rubbed his nose helplessly. Host, I'm afraid your wish won't come true. There's always someone better than you. There's no end to the strong. Hearing the prompt, black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead. He thought to himself, even if there's a very strong place, I won't go in head first. Of course, if it was interesting, he would consider it. Let's take a trip to the Chaos Realm before we enter District 2 and District 1. I wonder how the Dog King, the Fire Sheng Yuan, the Invisible Giant Bai Yu, and Ishu are doing? Oh, and Third Princess, Ling Fei, how are you? Wang Kai frowned and couldn't help but secretly smile. Chaos Realm, War Monarch City. Wang Kai used the battle strength of the omnipotent King Realm to cross the universe and return to War Monarch City in the Chaos Realm. He stood in the void and looked down at the palace below. His gaze shifted to the overflowing fragrance garden. That was where the third princess, Ling Fei lived. He could clearly see the maid, Xiao, watering the flowers and plants with a spiritual snake in the courtyard. As for the third princess, she was lying on the chair with a dull expression, looking at the sky in a daze. Xiao, what do you think Wang Kai is now? How is he doing? He must have found a lot of beauties again. The third princess pursed her red lips and smiled bitterly. Third princess, why are you still thinking about that heartless bastard? Isn't it just a higher cultivation? What other abilities does he have other than a higher cultivation? A heartless bastard is not worth worrying about. Am I right? Xiao. Pouted and looked at the spiritual snake beside her. The 7-colored spiritual snake quickly nodded to express its agreement. That bastard has appeared again. I can see him every time. It's hard to forget him. Suddenly, the third princess narrowed her eyes and looked at Wang Kai in the sky. She pursed her lips and snorted coldly. However, after that smile, what emerged was endless loneliness. She knew that the figure in the sky was not the real Wang Kai. Every time, she would see Wang Kai in her dreams or hallucinations. Let's not talk about that damn bastard. Let's talk about the number 1 genius of War Monarch Martial Arts Club. Since that bastard left, many geniuses have appeared. The number 1 genius is interested in you, third princess. Xiao, squinted her eyes and smiled. However, the third princess, who was looking at Wang Kai in the sky, did not listen to her and said casually, "Is the number one genius as talented as him?" That Chao was speechless. Naturally, she knew that the third princess was talking about Wang Kai. Compared to Wang Kai, the geniuses of War Monarch Martial Arts Club were not geniuses. They were just ordinary people. However, even if that was the case, Chao was unwilling to admit it. More talented than him, better than him, more handsome than him. Chao said through gritted teeth. "Oh," the third princess replied absent-mindedly. "War Monarch Martial Arts Club is still open? And they're the number one genius in it? Is he interested in Fei?" Wang Kai frowned, and black lines appeared on his forehead, especially when the third princess was clearly looking at him. But she acted as if she did not see him. This situation caused Wang Kai to be extremely speechless. "I want to see what kind of person that genius is." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. His figure flashed, and he disappeared. "Ah, you disappeared again." As Wang Kai's figure disappeared, the third princess recovered from her daze and fell into a sluggish state. She got up and returned to her room like a walking corpse. Chao's eyes turned red when she saw this, but she was helpless. Every day, the third princess would look at the sky and say that Wang Kai's figure was there. When the figure disappeared, she would be like a dead person. War Monarch Martial Arts Club. It was bustling with noise and excitement. In the large courtyard, many disciples of the dojo were sparring with each other. Wang Kai, who was hiding in the dark, glanced at them casually and saw that their cultivation levels were pitifully low. He did not know who was the number one genius. "Ah, eldest senior brother is here. Oh my God, eldest senior brother is so handsome. He is only 20 years old, and he is already a 9th grade chaotic martial general. I heard that he will become a chaotic martial ancestor soon." That's right. When that time comes, he will be able to contend with the older generation. All of a sudden, the disciples stopped what they were doing and turned their gazes towards the entrance of the courtyard. Over there, a young man in white robes slowly walked over. Regardless of whether it was his appearance or his aura, he was extraordinarily handsome. His aura was that of a 9th grade chaotic martial general. Chapter 1260. This lad is the number one genius? Chaotic general realm? Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose, feeling speechless. When he had just stepped into the chaotic world, a mere chaotic general realm was ridiculously powerful. But now, he was as weak as a piece of trash. Even a chaotic martial grandmaster or chaotic martial king was as weak as an ant, let alone a chaotic general realm. "Greetings, Senior Xingyun." The disciples greeted him respectfully. Xingyun nodded and smiled. He placed his hand behind his back and said, "Junior brothers and sisters, please continue with your practice." As soon as he finished speaking, Xingyun walked into the room under the admiring gazes of the disciples. "How was the matter with the third princess?" Xingyun frowned and asked in a deep voice. "Senior brother, I have secretly met with the third princess's maid, Chao. I asked her to tell the third princess about you. As for the third princess's attitude, I don't know yet." A young woman in a green dress chuckled and sat in Xingyun's arms. "Oh, Chao, is she reliable? Has she agreed to help me?" Xingyun squinted his eyes and asked in surprise. He pressed his palm on the young lady's chest. "Of course. Senior brother, don't worry. Chao and I are close. She also hopes that the third princess can walk out of the shadow and forget about Wang Kai." The young lady panted and said with a red face, "Wang Kai? Humph, the lad who destroyed the Fire Empire? Give me another year, and I will definitely surpass him." Xingyun said with disdain. He even increased the strength of his hand. The young lady frowned and cried out in pain. "Yes, it is Wang Kai. I heard from Chao that the third princess has been worried about him. Because of this, she has been in a mental state. Moreover, they seem to have slept together," the young lady said softly. Swoosh! The moment these words were spoken, Xingyun's expression changed abruptly. With an ashen face, he threw the woman to the side. He stood up and snorted coldly. "Intimate? Is that true? Although that shower did not say it explicitly, I was able to tell that the third princess is no longer a virgin. The young woman pursed her red lips and said, she was extremely displeased by Xing Yun's angry appearance. That damn bitch. Xing Yun's face was livid. His eyes flashed coldly as he said, whatever. I only got her to control the warlord dynasty. She's just a bitch. After I'm done with her, I'll throw her into the brothel. Haha. Eldest senior brother is right. When the young woman heard this, she immediately laughed and threw herself into Xing Yun's arms again. She even took off her clothes. Get ready. Call Xiao Air, the maid of the third princess. I will get her first, then have her trick the third princess out. Then I will force her to have sex with me. It would be best if she gets pregnant. That way, the War King dynasty will be mine. Haha. At the end of his speech, Nebula laughed heartily. TSK, you want to take advantage of the master, and you won't even let go of the maidservant? You still want to forcefully take it? Whoosh! Following the cold laughter, Xing Yun's expression immediately changed. He coldly scanned his surroundings and berated in a deep voice. Which scoundrel are you? Why aren't you coming out? I'm right in front of you. You're too weak to see me. Who are you? Nebula turned around and saw a young man of about 17 or 18 years old sitting in front of him. When he looked at him, it was as if he had fallen into a deep sea. Who am I? Ha! The corners of Wang Kai's mouth curled up slightly. He turned his gaze towards the young lady and said with a faint smile, didn't she just mention it? She did? When Nebula heard this, he frowned and his face changed drastically. He exclaimed, You're Wang Kai, the one who destroyed the Fire King dynasty? Ah, that young woman was so shocked that her pretty face turned deathly pale. When she thought about the relationship between Wang Kai and the third princess and what he had just said, her body trembled in fear. I was forced. I didn't want to harm the third princess. The young woman quickly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Wang Kai. One had to know that Wang Kai had annihilated the Fire King dynasty with his own strength. Who would be able to stop such an expert? You weren't forced. You did it willingly. Therefore, you have to die. Wang Kai looked at her indifferently. He then waved his hand, and the young woman's arm was smashed into pieces. Blood splattered everywhere. Ah, no. Crack. The young lady cried out in pain. As her body rolled down, she smashed through the door and window, causing many disciples outside to be startled. They hurriedly rushed over. What are you trying to do? I am a #1 genius of the Warlord Martial Arts Club. I am in the Warlord weapon. If you do anything to me, the third princess's father, the Warlord, will not let you off. You really talk a lot. Wang Kai furrowed his eyebrows and coldly glanced at him. Then he flipped his hand and sent out another palm strike. Instantly, the young girl disappeared without a trace. He couldn't be any more dead. Who is that? Who is he? At the same time, the disciples of the Warlord Martial Arts Club were shocked. Senior Xing Yun, in particular, looked terrified. They could not believe it. After all, Wang Kai looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. It was impossible for him to be more powerful than Xing Yun. Wang Kai, I was wrong. Please spare me. Spare me. Plop. Bang, bang, bang. Soon after, Xing Yun could no longer hold back his fear. He knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing to Wang Kai to apologize. He knew that he was not as powerful as Wang Kai. He could not threaten Wang Kai with the third princess's father, the Warlord Martial Arts Club. If he wanted to live, he had to beg for mercy. Otherwise, he would disappear without a trace. He is Wang Kai. Oh my God, the Wang Kai who destroyed the Fire Empire? I can't believe I saw him in person. He is so young. In an instant, many disciples of the Battle Monarch Dojo cried out in surprise. You want to take the third princess for yourself and take over the Warlord Empire. You didn't even want to let Xiao go. Do you know what crime you committed? Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back and asked coldly. I know I was wrong. Please spare me, Senior Wang. Spare me. I won't do it again. I won't do it again. Wah. In the end, Xing Yun burst into tears. He was only in his 20s. He was a prodigy who had just risen to prominence. He had never been threatened by death before. Chapter 1261. Xingyun is crying? This is also true. You should know that Wang Kai is a ferocious person who single-handedly destroyed the Fire Dynasty. Yeah, I heard that he even left behind a few words saying that he destroyed the Fire Dynasty because of the third princess. That's right. Xingyun actually wanted to lay his hands on the third princess, and he even used such despicable means. We were wrong about him. Despicable and shameless man. Senior Wang, please kill him. That's right. Kill this immoral man. In an instant, the disciples of the Battle Monarch Martial Arts Club started to make a ruckus. Previously, they had addressed Xingyun as eldest senior brother and expressed their utmost respect. In an instant, they were completely on Wang Kai's side. Such a situation caused Wang Kai to be unable to help but feel speechless in his heart, and he said to himself, "This is human nature. They would help whoever was strong and trample on whoever was weak, especially if the weaker party did something despicable that was not recognized by others. Their ending would undoubtedly be even more miserable." Did you hear that? Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back as he looked at Xingyun coldly. No, don't listen to them. They are all trash. I joined the Battle Monarch Martial Arts Club later than them, but I surpassed them one by one. They are jealous of me. They have long resented me. They want to use this opportunity to destroy me so that they can get rid of a thorn in their side. Senior Wang, you're also a genius. Can't you understand? Xingyun pointed at the disciples with an ashen face as he scolded them. His words made the disciples of the Battle Monarch Martial Arts Club spit on the ground. Even if they were jealous of him, they wouldn't show it at this moment. Humph, you are a despicable and shameless man. How dare you say that we are jealous of you? Yeah, you are really shameless. We respected you so much, but in the end, you are just a scum. Scum. Senior Wang, hurry up and kill him. We really don't want to see his ugly face anymore. It's disgusting. Oh, go ahead and kill him then. Wang Kai shrugged and spread his arms casually as he took a few steps back. When they saw this scene, the expressions of all the disciples turned stiff. For a moment, they couldn't react. What a joke. Kill Xingyun personally? Could they beat him? Aha! Looks like Elder Wang is indeed someone who walks the same path as me. You are able to understand the troubles of a genius. Elder Wang, please wait for a moment. Once I kill these trash, I will have a good time with Elder Wang. Who's your kindred spirit? You are, you mother of Asterisker. Bang! Suddenly, before Xingyun could finish his words, Wang Kai's foot shot forth. Immediately, his head was smashed to pieces by the kick. Red and white splashed all over the ground. Many of the Battle Monarch Dojo's disciples covered their mouths. Some of them even vomited on the spot. When he looked at Wang Kai again, his eyes were filled with fear. As expected of the great devil who destroyed the Fire King dynasty. I heard that no one from the Fire King dynasty survived. I like this kind of devil. Most of the disciples were afraid, but there were also some female disciples who looked at Wang Kai coquettishly. A bunch of ignorant idiots. Wang Kai looked at them indifferently and ignored them. With a tap of his foot, he disappeared into the clouds. ****. What happened? Why are you making such a ruckus here? Suddenly, a roar was heard. A few martial arts instructors from the Battle Monarch Dojo rushed over. However, when they pushed through the crowd and saw Xingyun's headless body, their faces turned gloomy. Xingyun was the strongest disciple of the Battle Monarch Dojo. The future of the Battle Monarch Dojo. He was dead. ****. Who did this? Who did this? Do they want to die? What a ****. Who dares to kill a disciple of the Battle Monarch Dojo? I'm asking you a question. Are you mute? Tell me, which ignorant idiot did this? In the face of the martial instructor's stern questioning, many of the disciples swallowed their saliva. Their faces were somewhat pale as they continuously retreated. Who dares to insult Wang Kai and call him an ignorant idiot? Who dares to say that Wang Kai is **** and doesn't want to live? Who is the one who doesn't want to live? What are you doing? I'm asking you, Bang. Suddenly, before the instructor could finish speaking, an invisible force slammed into his body. His flesh was immediately mangled, and he died on the spot. Seeing this, the rest of the martial arts instructors cried out in shock. Their faces turned pale, and their bodies trembled as they looked around. However, they could not see anyone. They could not even sense a trace of his aura. Elite. Elite. Could it be a chaotic martial king? That Instructor Lin should be more powerful than a chaotic martial king. His name is Wang Kai. A few female disciples reminded them with their eyes full of love. More powerful than a chaotic martial king? What's his name? Wang Kai. Why do I find him so familiar? Wang Kai. F***CK. Bang. Bang bang. In an instant, the martial arts instructors were so frightened that their eyes rolled back and they fainted on the ground. The sense of life-threatening danger made it impossible for them to remain calm. The dead martial arts instructor was the best proof. He did not care who you were. He would kill you as he wished. My hand shook just now. I'm sorry. You can clean up the body. In the sky, Wang Kai spread his hands apologetically and stepped into the air with a smile. My hand shook. I'm sorry. When everyone heard this, they felt their minds go blank. Wow. Not only is he strong and a devil, he is also very humorous. Idiot. Damn it. Hearing the words of the female disciples, the male disciples cursed in their hearts. In their eyes, Wang Kai was a supreme devil. Overflowing fragrance garden. Wang Kai stepped into the air and slowly landed in the courtyard. He used his cultivation to hide his body. Even if he was standing in front of Qiao, she would not be able to detect him. It's all that bastard Wang Kai's fault. He caused the third princess to be in such a state. I should have reported to the warlord earlier and killed the weak Wang Kai. Now that he has become stronger, he turned his back on me. What a despicable bastard. Qiao gritted her teeth and cursed as she watered the flowers. The seven-colored spiritual snake beside her also nodded in agreement and spat out its tongue. Little girl, how dare you speak ill of me behind my back? I'll slap you. Black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead. With a flip of his hand, he slapped her buttocks. Who? Qiao was so frightened that her face turned pale. She covered her buttocks with both hands and turned around to look, but there was no trace of anyone. TSK, you're pretty King soft. Wang Kai shrugged and curled his lips. He was so angry that he slapped her again. This time he slapped Qiao's chest. No, ghost. Qiao was so frightened that her face turned as white as a sheet. She screamed and ran into the room. Chapter 1262. Only Wang Kai and the seven-colored spiritual snake were left in the courtyard. The seven-colored spiritual snake was staring at the spot where Wang Kai was and spitting its tongue. It was as if it knew that Wang Kai was there. Wang Kai was also quite surprised by that. He couldn't help but extend his hand to pat its head. Whoosh! However, before he could hit it, the seven-colored spiritual snake twisted its body and dodged it easily. Then, the snake turned its head and stared at the spot where Wang Kai was and spat its tongue. Its arrogant expression seemed to be saying, "You can't do anything to me." Obviously, it was looking down on Wang Kai, who was hiding in the dark. Damn it! The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He immediately used his cultivation to grab the seven-colored spirit snake's neck and threw it against the wall. The seven-colored spiritual snake fainted before it could react. With his hands behind his back, Wang Kai walked to the room where the third princess was. He walked through the door and looked at the third princess who was sitting on the chair in a daze. He felt a little suffocated. He had never expected the third princess to be so affectionate. The two of them had only been together for a short period of time. However, she had missed him until now and was still unable to let go. He had to admit that once a woman was in love, it was really difficult to retreat. Wang Kai pursed his lips and couldn't help but reach out his hand and gently stroke her hair. The third princess, who was in a daze, suddenly trembled. She turned around and stared at the spot where Wang Kai was standing. The light that had just appeared in her beautiful eyes disappeared when she realized that there was no one there. Her eyes were empty. The feeling just now was so familiar. It was like him. The third princess smiled bitterly and lowered her head slightly, tears rolling down her cheeks. Fei Er, seeing this, Wang Kai frowned. His expression became one of guilt that he had never felt before. What he should do now was to show himself and give her a hug. But even though he knew what to do, he didn't dare to do it. He really didn't know how to face her. What would happen after he faced her? Would she be happy? Or would he get angry? Or would he chase him away? All sorts of emotions swirled in Wang Kai's heart. For a moment, he felt very uncomfortable. Reporting, Wang Kai is back. That great demon just went to the Warlord Martial Arts Club and killed Xingyun. Furthermore, the reason he killed him was because Xingyun wanted to scheme against you. Third princess. Third princess, did you hear that? Suddenly, an urgent report came from outside. The third princess, who was sobbing absent-mindedly, suddenly froze. He really came back. You even killed Xingyun for me? The third princess quickly got up and wiped away her tears. Just as she was about to break out of the door, she paused and said, "Wait outside. I'm going to the Battle Monarch Dojo." Then, under Wang Kai's puzzled gaze, the third princess took off her clothes and ran to the wardrobe naked. She went back and forth to pick out her clothes. Then, she put on one set and another set. It took him more than half an hour to get dressed properly. Just as he thought that she was going to leave, she sat down in front of the dressing table and started to dress up. Wang Kai rubbed his nose and suddenly felt a surge of courage. Even if he met her face to face, she wouldn't be angry, right? On the contrary, she would be very happy. After all, she was dressing up because of him. No, thud. The third princess, who was in the middle of dressing up, suddenly froze. The comb in her hand fell to the ground. Wang Kai, you're here, right? The third princess abruptly turned around and scanned the room. You were the one who touched me just now. Am I right? It was you, wasn't it? Am I right? The third princess was almost shouting at the end. It was me, the guy who can turn invisible. Wang Kai rubbed his nose and appeared a little embarrassed. You bastard. You're shameless. You peeked at me changing. The moment Wang Kai appeared, the third princess's face turned red with embarrassment. However, the joy in her eyes was very obvious. However, very quickly, her face turned cold, and she looked at Wang Kai as if he was a stranger. Why did you come back? The third princess asked coldly. You're still pretending. You obviously wanted me to come back. Wang Kai-sin was secretly amused, but on the surface, he said affectionately, "Of course I came back to take you away. I've been thinking about you day and night. Finally, I can see you again. In order to see you again, I overcame all difficulties and fought with countless demons on the way. I was injured by countless sabers and swords. There were even a few times when I almost lost my virginity. Bastard, anyone who believes you is a pig." Hearing this, the third princess could not help but smile. However, she immediately realized that something was wrong. She quickly suppressed her smile and continued to stare coldly at Wang Kai. "Where are you taking me?" The third princess asked coldly. "Anywhere you want to go," Wang Kai replied affectionately. "How many women have you found?" The third princess asked. No, just you." Wang Kai, who wanted to be honest, did not know why. It was really not good to say it in this situation. Even if it was a lie, it should be a kind one, right? Then what about my father? The third princess pursed her red lips and said, "I'll send him to Kunlun's field and let him become a god of this universe. He will live forever," Wang Kai said seriously. "Can't we meet again?" The third princess's eyes darkened. "Yes, I will help you improve your cultivation. Wherever you want to go, it will be a matter of minutes," Wang Kai said seriously. "Patter, third princess, a ghost just slapped my butt. It even grabbed my breasts." Suddenly, the door was pushed open. Maid Xiao ran in with a pale face. The moment she saw Wang Kai in the room, Xiao reacted instantly. "Oh, Wang Kai, Do you really like Xiao? The third princess's eyes narrowed as she looked at Wang Kai with a faint smile. Damn bastard. You actually came back. Do you still want to harm the third princess? I'll tear you apart. Xiao rushed forward with an ugly face. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws, ready to attack Wang Kai. Xiao, don't mess around. The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and shouted in a deep voice. Then, she looked at Wang Kai and said seriously, I want to bring Xiao with me. And Spirit Snake, he wants to come too. Do you agree? Of course I agree. I'll agree to anything you say. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and nodded affectionately. Chapter 1263. The Chaos Realm. In front of a natural barrier leading to the Kunlun realm, Wang Kai brought Ling Fei the maid Xiao and the seven-colored spiritual snake over. The third princess's cultivation had reached the Aeon King realm. Even her maid Xiao and the seven-colored spiritual snake had been raised to the myriad cultivation god realm by Wang Kai. As long as she used her mechanic form and strengthened skills, she could remove them at will and make the difference in cultivation level become one. In Wang Kai's words, that was the myriad cultivation god realm. For the maids and demon pets, it was already enough. There was no need to raise their cultivation level to the same level as the third princess. Is my father okay? Where did you put him? The third princess frowned and hugged Wang Kai's arm. Her eyes were filled with worry. As a matter of fact, Wang Kai had recalled the Battle Emperor into the system after leaving Battle Monarch City, leaving the third princess confused. Along the way, he had a lot on his mind, and he kept asking questions. Wang Kai was speechless. He waved his hand and said, Don't worry. When we reach the Kunlun realm, I will let your father appear. Then why are we stopping here? The third princess blinked and looked at the natural barrier in front of her. She was puzzled. After reaching the Aeon King realm, under the influence of Wang Kai, she already thought that she was invincible. Moreover, with Wang Kai by her side, no matter where she went, she would not be afraid. I'm here to find some old friends, Wang Kai said with a smile. Then he raised his hand and rubbed the third princess's head. He said softly, I will put you into my space first. No, wait, are your so-called old friends a man or a woman? Why do you want to hide me in your space? Could it be that you have some unspeakable secret? The third princess quickly pouted and looked at him suspiciously. Women were naturally sensitive. She felt that Wang Kai was definitely up to no good. Cough, cough, there are no girls. I just want to avoid some trouble. I'm going to a very dangerous place now. Then all the more reason for me to go with you. Even if we die, we must die together. I don't care, I don't. Wang Kai, you bastard. Wang. Before the third princess could finish speaking, black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead as he waved his hand and immediately kept her into the system. He then looked at Xiao, and the seven-colored spiritual snake. You're really too bad. Xiao pursed her red lips and glared at Wang Kai with some anger. Recalling how Wang Kai had molested her while invisible, Xiao blushed. The seven-colored spirit snake stared at Wang Kai with hostility. Previously, it had been slapped by him and thrown to the wall. It had been unconscious for a long time before waking up. You guys go in as well. Wang Kai shrugged. With a wave of his hand, Xiao and the seven-colored spiritual snake were stored in the system. Gotcha! Then, Wang Kai tore open the void with his bare hands. Under the destruction of the King of Eternity Realm, the god's tomb appeared before them. Among them, the Dog King, the fire Xinyuan spirit that had evolved into a three-legged golden crow, the invisible giant, Baiyu, and Ishu were gathered in a palace with bored expressions. The Dog King was lying on the coffin. Seeing that the void had been torn open and Wang Kai had appeared before them, the Dog King immediately turned around and rushed over. Damn, Master, you're finally here to see the Prince of Dogs. Master, the fire Xingyuan spirit and the invisible giant were pleasantly surprised. Baiyu and Ishu were so happy that they cried tears of joy. If Wang Kai did not come, they would have to stay in the tomb for the rest of their lives. They would not be able to leave even if they wanted to. Not bad. You've all reached the peak of the Tao, celestial realm. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked around. He was surprised to find that the Dog King and the others had all reached the peak of the Tao celestial realm. It was only a matter of time before they entered the heaven opening realm. Bullshit, Tao celestial realm. You can't even open this broken tomb. Master, if you don't come, the Prince of Dogs will either die of old age or die of grievance. The Dog King grinned and stared speechlessly. The husky's face and fierce eyes made Wang Kai feel a little helpless. Where'd you go? Why didn't you appear after so long? Bai Yu's eyes were red as she threw herself into Wang Kai's arms. Ishu hugged Wang Kai from behind. Her jade-like hands were even more naughty. This situation immediately made Wang Kai's eyes light up. It seemed that Ishu had been holding it in for a long time. They had just met, and before he could make a move, she had already made the first move. It was indeed a wise choice to put the third princess into the system first. Otherwise, with her around, it would be impossible to be gentle with other women. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sighed inwardly. If he could do it all together, how great would that be? Unfortunately, hope always came quickly, but so did disappointment. Master, quickly take the Prince of Dogs to fight. The Dog King wagged his tail and stared fiercely. Every time he saw the Dog King's eyes, Wang Kai really wanted to beat him up. The provocation was too obvious and too strong. You, Fire, Shenyuan Ling, and the Invisible Giant, the three of you go somewhere further away to fight. I have something to discuss with them, Wang Kai said with a serious expression. Oh, okay. The Invisible Giant scratched his head and said in a simple and honest manner, Master, can't you let me see? I haven't seen it in a long time. The Fire Xingyuan Ling said expectantly, See my ass. Do you think you can casually see what Master is doing? The Dog King stared fiercely and scolded the Fire Xingyuan Ling with disdain. Then he said to Wang Kai, Master, actually, you don't have to pretend. If you want to have sex, just say it. Even if you don't say it, we all know. Scram immediately. Wang Kai's face darkened, and the corner of his mouth twitched violently. This Dog King and the Fire Xingyuan Ling were really too King weird. The Invisible Giant was still better. He was simple, honest, and never spoke carelessly. He was very smart. Ahem, Master, then we'll go show off. If anyone bullies you, tell the Prince of Dogs. The Prince of Dogs will definitely use his 72 spring kicks and kick him until he becomes a cripple. The Dog King smiled proudly, then shook his head and stepped into the air. The Fire Xingyuan Ling and the Invisible Giant followed closely behind. Someone bullied me? Looking for you to help me vent my anger? Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose when he heard this. He felt that it was very funny. It seemed that they didn't know that his strength surpassed theirs by too much. With us sisters here, there's no need for that stupid dog to help, Ishu said coquettishly. Chapter 1264. You're here? Are you that impressive? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and looked at them playfully. Of course, the peak of the Tao Heaven Realm is the second strongest cultivator in the world according to the successions we've obtained. I think the strongest cultivation is called the Heaven Opening Realm. Ishu pursed her lips and said with a proud smile, Ugh, the second strongest cultivator. Wang Kai's lips twisted upon hearing this. You don't believe me? Humph, why don't we have a fight? I'll fight you with one hand. How's that? Bai Yu harumphed proudly. Sure, you'll fight me with one hand then. Wang Kai shrugged and nodded in agreement. Are you seriously going to fight me? I'm a lot stronger than you. Bai Yu blinked in disbelief. However, Ishu frowned as she stared suspiciously at Wang Kai. When she saw the teasing look that flashed across his eyes, her heart immediately skipped a beat. Nothing good was going to happen. Wang Kai was confident that he could defeat the Tao Heaven Realm. Bai Yu, you're done for. Ishu was about to remind Bai Yu, but before she could finish, Bai Yu had already raised her hand and attacked Wang Kai. TSK, how impressive. I saw your attack. That speed is really too fast. Crack. With a flip of his hand, Wang Kai grabbed Bai Yu's jade-like hand. Immediately, he feigned a frightened expression as he said, even your strength is this strong? If husband wasn't born with great strength, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to resist the attack. How impressive. I've suppressed you with just a raise of my hand. As I thought, this asshole. Ishu rolled her eyes as she watched. At this moment, Baiyu also reacted. When she heard Wang Kai's fake praise, her pretty face flushed red in shame. She tightly clenched her silver teeth and chided in a delicate voice, "Let go of me. Let go of me at once. Aren't you very impressive? Keep attacking me. If you don't, husband is going to attack you." Wang Kai looked at her with squinted eyes. He then waved his hand and shattered Baiyu's clothes into pieces. An extremely beautiful body was completely exposed to the air. You asshole! You asshole! You're bullying me!" Baiyu's face was as red as blood. She clenched her teeth and screamed. "How is this bullying? Your husband is teaching you. Don't think that you're invincible just because your strength has increased. Fortunately, your target this time is your husband. If it were someone else, how would it be? As punishment, I have to show you what the divine golden needle technique is. Come on." Wang Kai chuckled. He then picked up Baiyu and tore the void apart. Divine golden needle technique? Baiyu's pretty eyes were stunned when she heard this. Soon after, she reacted and spat out a mouthful of saliva. Husband, I want to try your divine golden needle technique." Ishu smiled coquettishly and took the initiative to remove her clothes. It had to be said that the current Ishu already had an extremely seductive personality. "Do you think you can run away?" Wang Kai grinned and chuckled. With a flip of his hand, he brought the two women into the void. Then, endless moans could be heard. For 3 consecutive days, Wang Kai was entangled with the two women. When they went to the chaotic realm, the two women were already exhausted by Wang Kai. In the end, they were taken into the system to recuperate. The Dog King, the Fire, Shunyuan Ling, and the Invisible Giant followed by his side. Looking at the Kunlun realm that had recovered its vitality, Wang Kai couldn't help but sigh. When he first came to the Kunlun realm, it was in ruins. The power of chaos here is too strong. "Master, the Prince of Dogs is about to break through to the heaven-opening realm," the Dog King said, wagging his tail and taking a deep breath. On the side, the Fire, Shunyuan Ling, and the Invisible Giant also felt like they were about to break through. "Okay, then go find a place to break through. If any heaven-opening realm gods find trouble with you, you just have to mention my name, Wang Kai." Wang Kai said proudly with his hands behind his back. Thinking about it, he was very famous in the Kunlun realm. As the Dog King and the others looked for a place to break through, Wang Kai found Xianku, Feng Liyin, Archmage Lily, and Principal Luolan. Fairy Zhou and Hun Yuan and Mortal Emperor Su Zian were naturally there. "Have you ever thought about me?" With his hands behind his back, Wang Kai looked at the women in front of Feng Liyan's palace and couldn't help but smile faintly. Whoosh! Hearing this, the women immediately frowned and looked over. Wang Kai, Xianku, Archmage Lily, and Fairy Zhou all pounced over. Even the little lowly Luo Lan hung on Wang Kai's body. What's so good about him?" Feng Liyan pursed her red lips and snorted disdainfully, but her beautiful eyes were filled with envy. On the side, Su Zian saw it very clearly, but she didn't expose it. "Where are the Wushan Mountain Master and my Empress?" Wang Kai furrowed his brows and asked doubtfully. "They're in the process of breaking through. They should be out in a few days." Feng Liyan pursed her red lips and said, "In the process of breaking through?" Upon hearing this, Wang Kai pursed his lips and said casually, "Go and call them out. I'll help them increase their cultivation to a stage that you can't imagine." "Really?" The little lowly was surprised, and her eyes sparkled. "Of course it's true, but if you want me to improve my cultivation, you have to sleep with me." Wang Kai shrugged and said very seriously, Okay. Since you're so naughty, I'll fulfill your wish." The little lowly Luo Lan exclaimed and said with a red face, I don't need to increase my cultivation. I can cultivate on my own." Su Zian pursed her red lips and said before she turned and left. "Lecher." Feng Liyan glared hatefully at Wang Kai. She had no choice but to call the Wushan Mountain Master and the others out. They must also want to see Wang Kai. If she didn't call them out, they would definitely go crazy in anger. Let's go. Come with me to the palace to rest and cultivate your emotions. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "Bah." Xianku spat and followed Wang Kai with a red face. How could she not know what he wanted to do? However, Archmage Lily was very brave. She kept hugging Wang Kai and didn't let go. Her breathing was also very heavy. Her desire was several times stronger than Wang Kai's. It had to be said that magician beauties were indeed different in the magic world. That person just now was Wang Kai. Yes, that's him. I've seen him before. Oomph. Let's go and take care of him. How can we let him monopolize so many beauties? Chapter 1265. Wang Kai. Get out here. Yeah. F***CKU. You're too pretentious. You've just come back and you're already hogging so many beauties? Do you want to die? Inside the palace, Wang Kai had just sat down, but before his but could even warm up, curses could be heard coming from outside. Who is it? Wang Kai frowned, and black lines appeared on his forehead. There really was someone in Kunlun's field who dared to go against him. It should be our suitor, Xianke said shyly, pursing her red lips. Feng Liyin and the other girls, who had returned with the Empress, the Imperial Concubine, and the Dark Mountain Master, also turned their heads. There were countless beautiful goddesses in Kunlun's field, but the girls in Feng Liyan's palace were the ones who made the divine princess crazy. It was fine before Wang Kai came, but now that a battle was unavoidable. How troublesome. Wang Kai frowned, speechless. With a flip of his hand, he took out the third princess, seven-colored spiritual snake. The moment the seven-colored spiritual snake appeared, it looked at Wang Kai warily. It was obvious that it was asking, "What are you doing? Wow, what a beautiful little snake." Xianku and the others' eyes lit up. As they spoke, they stepped forward to touch it. However, they were all shocked by the seven-colored spiritual snake's aura and took a few steps back. It's so strong? Feng Liyin was shocked. All the girls looked at Wang Kai in unison. They didn't expect that even the little snake beside Wang Kai was so powerful. He's in the God of Cultivation realm, which is almost 20 realms higher than the heaven-opening realm. Do you think he's strong? Wang Kai shrugged and said casually. Hearing this, all the girls turned pale with fright. Almost 20 realms higher than the heaven-opening realm? Not just a small realm, but a big realm. How strong was that? It was unheard of. No matter how much they liked the seven-colored spiritual snake, no one dared to approach it. Go out and beat up those bastards. Just don't kill them. Wang Kai frowned and said casually. Hiss, hiss. However, the seven-colored spiritual snake disdainfully spat out its tongue and turned its head to the side. Xianku and the others were extremely fond of its arrogant appearance. However, they did not dare to approach it. You're not going? All right, I'll peel off your skin and throw you into the frying pan. Before Wang Kai could finish his words, the seven-colored spiritual snake spat out its tongue and nodded its head continuously. Then, it swayed its body and dashed out of the palace. How can you treat a small animal so cruelly? Xianku frowned and looked at Wang Kai with displeasure. The girls couldn't help but look at Wang Kai. Even though they knew that Wang Kai was threatening the seven-colored spiritual snake, weren't his words a little too vicious? Small animals? Is it a small animal? It's countless times stronger than any of you, okay? If I let it do as it pleases, the entire Kunlun's field will be in its pocket. It's much more powerful than Azura. Wang Kai shrugged and said speechlessly. Hearing this, the girls couldn't help but look at each other. Indeed, the seven-colored spiritual snake's cultivation was a little terrifying. Will you help us improve our cultivation? Feng Liyin blinked her beautiful eyes and said seriously. All right, no problem. Now you have two choices. First, I'll help you to improve your cultivation to the level of the seven-colored spiritual snake. But in the third universe, it's nothing. Moreover, It's not as powerful as my other women, brothers, and subordinates. Second, you can improve your cultivation to the king of eternity realm, which is the same as my real cultivation. You can think about it yourselves. Wang Kai shrugged and said casually, "Of course, the king of eternity realm." Feng Liyin and the other girls said without any hesitation. "Oh, I almost forgot. If you want to choose the second choice, you have to have sex with me." Wang Kai frowned and spread out his hands, as if saying, "What are you going to do about it?" Feng Liyin was so angry that she clenched her silver teeth. "I choose the second choice. Xian Ku, Archmage Lily, the queen, the imperial concubine, the Wushan mountain master, the little Lolita Luo Lan, and Fairy Zhou all nodded without hesitation. Feng Liyin and Han Yuan immortal Emperor Su Ziyan pursed their red lips and hesitated. "Okay, then let's go for a walk first." Wang Kai grinned and laughed. "Wait, I agree. I choose the second choice." Feng Liyin pursed her red lips and said shyly, I choose the first choice." Su Ziyan said lightly after thinking for a while. "Well, you've made the right choice." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled casually. Soon after, he flipped his hand and said with a chuckle, "Then let's sleep together." "Ah, bastard." Universe 3, District 3. In a manor with green mountains and clear waters, Jing Xian, Li Ling Xian, and the other girls looked at the third princess and the others who had been brought back by Wang Kai. They were all stunned. The third princess, Feng Liyin, Zhong Xuanke, Fairy Zhou, Archmage Lily, the Wushan mountain master, the queen, and the imperial concubine. There were also Bai Yu, Yishu, even Han Yuan, immortal Emperor Su Ziyan, and the little Lolita Luo Lan had followed them. Moreover, in order to gain a foothold in Universe 3, Feng Liyin had brought her goddess legion, which consisted of hundreds of goddesses. The divine princes who liked these goddesses had also followed them. "Wang Kai, aren't you going to say something?" Jing Xian pursed her red lips and frowned as she said coldly. Li Ling Xian and the other girls also stared at Wang Kai and cursed in their hearts. Wang Kai was really too perverted. He had found so many beauties. Moreover, there was even a little Lolita in her teens. What was going on? Little did they know that the little Lolita Luo Lan was already more than 1,000 years old. However, Jing Xian and the others did not know. Cough, cough. I have some matters to attend to, so I'll leave first. Jing Xian, you communicate with them. Wang Kai's mouth twitched, and he became a somewhat speechless shopkeeper. The third princess and the other girls also gritted their teeth and stared at Wang Kai with resentment. At first, Wang Kai did not say that he had so many women. But now that they had come to Universe 3, even if they were angry, they had nowhere to vent their anger. Moreover, Wang Kai had already disappeared. "Oh, right, those goddesses behind her are not my women." Wang Kai's voice slowly came. He deliberately urged his power to isolate the goddesses behind Feng Liyin. "Of course they are not. They are our women." Many divine princes curled their lips and said, "Bastard, we have nothing to do with you. And we have nothing to do with Wang Kai." Many goddesses immediately rebuked shyly and angrily. "And there are also Prince of Dogs' women." The Dog King shook his head and boasted. "Get lost." Jing Xian angrily rebuked. She really could not bear it and directly drove away the Dog King, Wang Kai, the Invisible Giant, and the Fire Xingyuan. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.